to Charlotte continues today from the Steel City. It's a Coastal Division clash. Virginia-Pittsburgh on ACC College Football Saturday. One of the new venues in the Atlantic Coast Conference and one of America's proudest football cities, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, is our backdrop today as the Panthers return home to Heinz Field in a Coastal Division battle with the Virginia Cavaliers. ACC College Football Saturday is presented by Frost Brewed Coors Light, the world's most refreshing beer. And from Heinz Field in Pittsburgh, the Cavaliers and the Panthers meet for the 6th time and for the first time since 2007. And good afternoon with Brian Stan, Wes Durham. Welcome to Heinz Field in our ACC College Football Saturday broadcast. This should be interesting. Pittsburgh scored 58 last week against Duke, held on to win 58-55.
I'll tell you what, these guys, their offense is moving. And Tom Savage, their quarterback, he was the Offensive Player of the Week for the nation last week with a huge performance against Duke. He is getting better and better by the week. Now, they're going up against, though, a very tough defense, University of Virginia.
Well, 23-year-old Tom Savage has had a football journey. But what makes him special, Brian, are these two weapons he's got on the perimeter. Tyler
Boyd and Devin Street are two of the best dynamic duos in the ACC has to offer, both fast, big, they're students of the game, and Boyd is merely a freshman learning from Devin Street. But Savage, he has got a monster arm, velocity. He can throw you open. That means if you're not open, he'll put it where only you can catch it. He can beat your coverage with the strength of his arm.
Well, Savage will be challenged today by one of the best pass defenses the country has to offer, too.
Certainly, and one thing we know about Virginia being coached by their defensive coordinator, John Tenuta, they're going to come after Savage. They're going to bring 5, 6, and sometimes even 7 guys in on the blitz. Savage and his offensive line have got to recognize it and pick it up to be successful today.
Well, Tom Savage is not Virginia's only concern as we join Jen Hildreth today.
Well, that's when I was coming onto the field, I saw Virginia head coach Mike London. I asked him about his running backs who have been beaten up, and he said, we may have to put you out there. Now, the situation is not nearly that dire, but they were without junior Khalid Shepard last week, as well as freshman Taquan Smoke Mizell. Coach London told me he expects Shepard to be available to play. Not so sure about Mizell, but these guys have a lot of options at running back. The best is junior Kevin Parks. Parks leads the team in rushing. He ran for 135 yards and 2 touchdowns last week against VMI. And at 5'8", guys, he is what they would call compact. But Coach London loves his toughness, and you better believe, Wes, this Pitt defense is aware of the Virginia running backs and know they need to wrap these guys up.
Jen, there's no question Matt House, the Panther defensive coordinator, has got to keep that run game in check. But the marquee matchup will unfold for us here early because the Panthers won the toss and Brian elected to receive. So we're going to get right to Tom Savage and the Virginia defense off the top here. The Cavaliers will kick it away with redshirt sophomore Ian Fry. So Ian Fry will kick it away. Pittsburgh deep to receive. Lafayette Pitts. And it will be Pitts who takes Fry's kick halfway through, and the Panthers will start 1st and 10 off their 25-yard line. 23-year-old Tom Savage. Quite a journey. Started his career out of Springfield, Pennsylvania at Rutgers. Played with Mohamed Sanu of the Cincinnati Bengals now and had some success. Then the coaching change after Greg Schiano went to the NFL. He tried to go to Arizona. Ended up sitting out at Arizona. Didn't really get a chance to play with the Wildcats. Then Brian came back home, so to speak, and originally was a walk-on here in Pittsburgh under Paul Chryst.
And he quickly earned a scholarship. He brings a sense of maturity through all those life experiences to this team, and they're loving him not only as a player but as a leader of this football team.
And on 1st down, they tossed it to Boyd.
5-yard penalty, 1st down.
And we get a penalty right away on the Panthers.
Well, Wes, one of the interesting things that we talked about with Tom Savage, with that maturity. And we'll get to that in a minute. But let's talk about, right here we look at Tyler Boyd, number 23. This is a freshman who stepped up as a wide receiver, took a lot of heat off their number 1 guy, Devin Street. And having 2 weapons has created some opportunities for Devin Street on offense.
Key players on Pittsburgh's offense brought to you by our friends at Toyota. So after the penalty, a 5-yard loss. And this is Isaac Bennett. Boy, Virginia did a good job in the center of the line. The linebacker, Daquan Romero, makes the play on Isaac Bennett. He's got a 100-yard ball game in his belt against New Mexico for Pittsburgh. And that's a combination of both Bennett and Connor here today, Brian.
Well, that's an area that Virginia struggled a little bit last week, was stopping the run, surprisingly. And going to be a big key for him today as well.
Savage spreads the field a little bit here on 2nd and long for Pittsburgh on their opening possession. Flush to his right. And he'll throw it out of bounds. Cavaliers got good pressure from the tackle David Dean, 55 on Tom Savage. And Virginia defensively under the tutelage of coordinator John Tenuta.
Well, Anthony Harris is a guy that stands out. He's their leader on defense. He's a stud at safety. But also, number 7 here, Eli Harold. Look out for him because he's going to be going up at times against a freshman on the line for the University of Pittsburgh's offense. And there's their big weapon is Urban. The Urbanator, as they call him, both with pressure. And he's so tall, 6'7". He is batting a lot of balls down the line.
The Panthers are 40% on 3rd down. This is 3rd and very long for Savage. And off the hands of Devin Street, the intended receiver. Demetrius Nicholson was in coverage. And Pittsburgh will go 3 and out. Now, that's nothing new for Virginia. They average 8.5 3-and-outs a ball game, and had 11 of them last week in their win against VMI.
Well, we talked about defense coordinator John Tenuta wanted to bring a lot of pressure, but here we saw him just rush 4 those last 2 pass plays, keeping the guys back in coverage. He's obviously concerned, and as he told us, he wants to take Boyd and Street out of this football game.
Dominique Terrell to receive the punt of Matt Yaklik. And his own man bumped into him. Is that a live football? Could be. Pittsburgh downed it back at the 23. David Murphy chased it, but did Virginia touch it? I didn't think so.
Wes, we have not talked about special teams yet, but the most disappointing part of last week's game against Duke was actually special teams for head coach Paul Christ. He said that their special teams against Duke was very poor, so that could be some hidden yardage that the University of Virginia Cavaliers can gain today. Pittsburgh special teams gave over 200 yards in return yards last week against Duke.
Virginia will play from its 23, and David Watford at quarterback. Redshirt sophomore from Hampton. And this is Watford on the keeper. Almost 8 yards on 1st down for David Watford. His passing numbers aren't great, but he is a threat to carry the ball.
Well, even though he's an older guy, this is really his first year being a starting quarterback. He's still evolving in the system, and he is the first guy to admit it, that the game still comes to him fast at times. He's having trouble making his reads at times, but they said they want to get him running the football a little bit more this week and take advantage of his legs, and right away we see him coming out again in the pistol formation.
Parks on the carry, and he got hit right away. Galambos and Ewan Price for Pittsburgh combining on the stop.
Well, one thing Pittsburgh's good at is getting pressure up the middle, and it's so tough because Aaron Down, number 97 in the middle, he's going to take up blockers, and he really creates some openings for these linebackers to come in and make tackles behind the backfield.
That's a loss of a yard on the play. So now 3rd and 3 for Virginia. Cavaliers at under 40%. They're 10th in the ACC in 3rd down efficiency. Watford on the stretch play, and this is Parks for the 1st down. Out across the 40 goes Kevin Parks. Vinipile and Pitts knock him out of bounds.
Well, it's no surprise that even though it was 3rd and 4, they went to the running game. This is an area that Pitt struggled last week against Duke. Duke had some success in sustaining drives on the ground, not through the air. And this is a big concern for Pittsburgh's defense this week. They said first and foremost as a defense, we've got to stop the run. And they were concerned with Virginia's running back because obviously stud Kevin Parks, he's not only fast, but he's very thick and hard to bring down.
First set of downs for Virginia off its 42. Watford eluding the first man. Pushed out of bounds by Todd Thomas as we get to our key players on offense for Virginia, brought to you by Toyota.
Well, we already talked about Kevin Parks and what he can do, but he's definitely the main guy in this offense. They've got to get going if this offense is going to score points. They've struggled. And then Morgan Moses is a guy that people expect to play on Sundays. He's considered a prototypical NFL left tackle. However, he did struggle at times against VMI last week, which was surprising. He's got to get more consistent.
Moses makes his 38th career start today for the Cavaliers at left tackle. Second and long, and Parks again. Able to pick up a couple of yards. David Durham, the transfer from Ohio State, makes the play. And our key players brought to you by Toyota for the Panthers on defense.
And their leader, number 25, Jason Hendricks, their strong safety. He's a guy who makes play after play. He'll be in on most of their tackles. He's their leading tackler, but he also is a guy who gets them lined up correctly.
Parks 14 yards on his first 3 carries, and Virginia finds itself now 3rd and 7 off its 45-yard line. And Watford looks to throw. Off target, intended for Tim Smith, but great pressure by 97 Aaron Donald for Pittsburgh.
We'll get used to hearing that name. Aaron Donald is just a dynamo on that defensive line for Pitt. He is so strong and explosive. He had a play last week against Duke where he actually tackled the quarterback and the running back at the same time while the handoff was taking place.
Bozinolik to punt. Alex Bozinolik is a redshirt junior from Richmond, averaging 40 yards a punt. And Weatherspoon for Pittsburgh to return and signals for and makes the fair catch inside the 10-yard line. Underway at Heinz Field in Pittsburgh. Each team's had it once and still scoreless.
You see a tie score here, 3rd and 7. Stephen Morris from Miami hooks up over the middle with Herb Walters for the touchdown. He would add another one. Canes up 21-7. Back to you fellas at Heinz Field.
Okay, Hans, thanks very much. Scoreless here in Pittsburgh. Paul Chryst, a former offensive coordinator at the University of Wisconsin, now in his 2nd season here in Western Pennsylvania. And, of course, Mike London. Fascinating story. Played, of course, at Richmond, the 39th head coach in Virginia's history. But right out of college, was a street crimes detective for the Richmond Police Department from 1984 to 1989. So coaching ball ain't that big a deal. You know, he's dealt in real life, Brian.
He does. He carries himself that way. You can tell he's got some true leadership experience. And interesting to see all the moves he made in the offseason. You know, bringing on 3 former head coaches onto the staff takes a very secure leader to do that. You're bringing in some big personalities who are used to being in charge. Really interesting to talk about that dynamic in the coaches' meetings at the University of Virginia.
Well, we're getting a little technology check here. The referee here today is Dennis Hannigan, and they are replacing the battery in the wireless system. The referee Hannigan, and so we're about ready to go back to work. They had to get that done so everybody here at Heinz Field and you good folks at home can hear the interpretations. Our 4 keys to the game, Brian.
Well, let's start with Virginia. It's very important that they get pressure on Savage. If they give him time to throw, his wide receivers are too fast. They're going to get open. And Virginia's got to create turnovers. Their offense doesn't move the ball well. Got to give them more chances. And for Pitt, they just got to stay balanced and make the big play. Virginia, because they blitz so much, is going to be in a lot of man-to-man. There's going to be big play opportunities. This offense has got to take advantage.
Savage hands the ball to the freshman James Conner, who had a big Saturday last week at Duke, and he picks up a 1st down for Pittsburgh off the left side.
They talked about Conner this week. He's a big kid. They brought him in. They recruited him actually to play defense. And you can see right here, he sees the block. Good vision to bounce it outside. But once he gets his shoulders square to the field, gets going north and south, he gets rolling, and he's tough to bring down.
1st and 10 for Pittsburgh. 2nd possession of the day for the Panthers. They went 3 and out in their 1st series. Oh, Conner got hit straight on that time. And there is Brent Urban leading the way along with David Dean. But James Conner, the freshman from Erie, back-to-back 100-yard efforts is our hearty star to watch, Brian.
Yeah, and it's interesting. For a guy, he's 230 pounds, but once he gets rolling, he's very fast. And we saw in that last play, has the ability to bounce it outside and move and shake and make a move on guys. So really interesting story that he was actually recruited to play defense, and due to the depth chart, they've made him play offense coming into summer camp.
Lost a couple of yards there, so it's now 2nd and almost 12 for the Panthers. And this is Isaac Bennett, also out of the Pittsburgh backfield. And number 7, Eli Harold, the first guy to greet him. Virginia's front 4. Urban, of course, we talked about. Harold is the athletic sort. He's 3rd in the ACC and 12th nationally in tackles for loss per ball game at 1.7 a contest.
Very athletic kid for a sophomore, 6'4", 230. And, you know, it's interesting. We talked about this in the beginning. He's going up a lot against number 6'9", Adam Bisnowati, the freshman left tackle for University of Pittsburgh.
3rd and long now for the Panthers. Savage the throw. And that's Boyd. The catch near the 1st down mark at the 27 for Tyler Boyd, the freshman at 6'2" from Clareton, Pennsylvania.
Boy, look at that catch. He doesn't look like a freshman here when he makes his catch and gets the foot down. But we talked about Pitt having another weapon besides Devin Street. Nice route. He knows where the sticks are. And look how he gets that foot down. Does not look like a guy who was playing high school ball last year. What they didn't show in that replay, though, Wes, that I was impressed with is defensive coordinator Tenuta is starting to bring the pressure. He's starting to stunt those defensive linemen. We wondered, can Pitt pick those complex blitzes up? They did on that play and gave Savage the time to put one on the money.
Measurement here, and boy, did Boyd get this. If he did, it'll be just by the nose of the ball, and he did. Wow. And there is John Tenuta with the cap on, white shirt. He's worked at North Carolina, Georgia Tech, NC State, and now Virginia just in the ACC.
And is he a fun guy to talk to or what? I can only imagine what it's like to be a player on the field with him. He's got a nickname for every one of these guys.
I think you'd be just fine lining up for him, wouldn't you?
I would love it.
What a catch by Boyd. Now, it's marked as a first down. Now, he goes to the... Brian, you talked about it. He gets the foot down here, but did he have possession when the foot was down?
Well, this is going to be a tough angle to see, but that replay right there looks like he did. And remember, the call on the field is that it's a first down. So the evidence has got to be conclusive to ensure that he didn't, and it looks to me like he did, but we'll see what they say.
Boy, Tyler Boyd doesn't look like a true freshman.
He does not.
Comes into the ball game. Boyd, 5th in the ACC in receiving yardage. He's 1st in touchdowns with 4 catches. He's 3rd in yardage per game and 18th nationally as a freshman.
And I love the fact once he signed with Pitt, he was already starting to communicate with Devin Street. Devin Street has been mentoring this young man since he was in high school to get him here and be effective.
Devin Street from Bethlehem. Tyler Boyd from Clareton. And Dennis Hennigan is under review here on this catch.
You know, what we can't get is a close-up of the ball to make sure that he's not bobbling in any way, but from that angle, it certainly looks like that's a catch, and the call is going to stand.
Well, and not only do we have that part of the equation, the fact that the nose of the ball was just in front of the first down mark, or else it's 4th down, and Paul Chris might be punting here on his 2nd possession.
Certainly. And one of the things we haven't talked about with Tyler Boyd, we talk about how he doesn't look like a freshman. You know, he came from that high school in Clareton, PA, where they didn't lose much. He comes from a championship caliber program, not your typical high school football program. That's one of the reasons he's able to step up here and make so many big plays.
And referee Dennis Hennigan confirms it's a catch and the first down for Pittsburgh. So Tom Savage's first completion of the day, 11 yards to the rookie Tyler Boyd. Both Boyd and Street now to the bottom of your screen here. And Savage under duress, can't get rid of it, and he's sacked. Max Vallis, who had not played linebacker very much up until in a ball game up until last week against BMI, gets the start today. Freshman from Sicklerville, New Jersey, moved from tight end, comes up with a big play here on Savage.
And this is just a poor block by James Conner. He had a big game last week. One of the things, when you're dealing with a defense that blitzes this much, it puts a big responsibility on the running backs to start picking up that 5th and 6th guy that's coming.
2nd down, 17 now for the Panthers. And here's Boyd. And they can't quite get the breakaway from Maurice Kennedy, the corner. Cavaliers handled that pretty well because it looks like, Brian, they were in man coverage, I think, there.
They were, and Kennedy makes the read. Look at, he sits back, sees the read, avoids a block, and comes up, makes a good, solid open field tackle. Instead of going for a big hit, he wraps him up. He knows he's got a lot of yards behind him, wants to get him in 3rd and long. And this is a situation where Tenuta, you know, likes to sometimes send 5-7 guys. And defensively, Virginia doesn't even stem or move up to the blitz. Sometimes they send them right from their lineup.
3rd and long. Savage, middle of the field. Boyd couldn't hang on. At the 45, incomplete to Tyler Boyd. Anthony Harris, the safety in coverage for Virginia. So Pittsburgh able to convert. 1 3rd down, cannot convert another here.
Well, I'm surprised because Virginia didn't blitz. They only rushed 4. They gave Savage time, and he put one to his best wide receiver, and Street just couldn't hang on to it. Devin Street does a nice job in zone of always finding that open. He'll make himself open in zone coverage.
Dominique Terrell to take the punt. Last punt was 57 yards. This is a wobbly kick. And it skips by Terrell. Oh, did he touch it? And they scramble for the 20-yard line. And Pittsburgh says they have it.
Wow, this would be such a costly mistake.
And they do. Trenton Coles, a redshirt freshman, has come up with it for the Panthers.
There is no reason Terrell should have chased down that ball. It took a bad bounce for Virginia, but at that point in time, you can't make up the mistake of not fair catching it or not trying to catch it off the initial bounce. He's fouling the ball. He has no intention of picking it up, and then he just gets too close. That's a huge mental error. As the return man, you're the guy who tells everybody else to get away.
Coles recovers it. Pittsburgh has new life at the Virginia 19 now.
Well, we talked about special teams being so important in this game, and we thought it could cost Pittsburgh with their poor special teams performance last week. Here they get a break, and it's on the shoulders of Virginia.
Parrish and Connor behind Savage in an eye set. Play action from Savage. For Street, underthrown. Virginia got there with the defensive end, Jake Snyder. Leveling Savage as he cut it loose, Brian.
That's a huge hit by Snyder, and he had Devin Street on a corner route. He was about to put it on the money, and Snyder saves the day there.
So far, it looks like Tenuta's front seven, in particular the front four, having some success pressuring Savage.
They are, and that's important. If they can have success with just the front four, that allows them to really roll some coverages towards these two big-time wide receivers.
And that is Connor, the freshman, inside the 15. Anthony Harris helping out on the tackle as Pittsburgh plays in the CPI Security Red Zone. 14th trip of the year, and they got 8 touchdowns in their previous 13 tries, but notice 2 field goals. That leaves a gap of 3 misses. So the efficiency just 77%. Now 3rd down for the Panthers. 1 of 3 today so far. Boyd's in the backfield with Savage here. He looks, and this is Street. First down inside the 10. To the 6.5 goes Devin Street. Draquan Husky, the nickel, pulled him down.
Well, Virginia, again, they only rush 4. They drop back into zone coverage. And like I said, Devin Street, they put him in the slot here on a drag route where they're going to get him matched up with linebackers. He's going to find an opening there. They made it a little bit too easy for Tom Savage there. You've got to get guys in his face.
Devin Street, the ACC Receiver of the Week after a half dozen catches, 166 and 2 scores at Duke last week. 1st and goal here for Pittsburgh. And here is Connor. Touchdown.
Now we talk about Connor being big, 230 pounds, running down a defensive back, and that's the result. Defensive back gets some grass stains on his back, and Connor runs into the end zone. They are excited about this freshman running back.
8-yard run for Connor, 6-yard run for Connor. And the extra point squirts over the crossbar for Chris Blewett, the freshman from Alexandria, Virginia. James Connor's 4th touchdown run off a special teams gaffe by Virginia. And it haunts the Cavaliers, who trail 7-0. ACC College Football Saturday is brought to you by Cross-Brewed Coors Light, the world's most refreshing beer. By Direct Auto Insurance. And by Ford. Well, the Bridges of Pittsburgh greet our ACC College Football Saturday crew. They got them all here. Hot medal to Roberto Clemente. And Brian, that problem right there yesterday.
You know, you got Pittsburgh, one of the toughest cities in America, yet this town went crazy over a 40-foot rubber ducky yesterday. 15,000 people, and it took us 1 hour to drive 1 block.
It wasn't that bad. Just felt that way, right?
I almost sank the duck.
Well, 7-0, the hometown in front here. The Panthers with Connor's touchdown. And Virginia puts it in motion here. And we'll get a marker as Darius Jennings brings it back up the field. And our Husqvarna high-powered scoring drive sparked by the special teams gaffe by Dominic Terrell.
Well, they didn't have to drive the ball very far because the special teams errors. Biggest exchange of yardage in the game. They are such costly penalties, and they love Connor in the red zone. Big 230-pound running back just runs over that safety for Virginia.
Penalty on the Cavaliers on the kick return. First of the day for Virginia. So the possession will start back near the 10-yard line for David Watford. Played in the high school program at Hampton. A lot of good players have come out of Hampton High. Here's Watford. And Parks the carry. Until about the 17 goes Kevin Parks, Anthony Gonzalez, and David Durham make the play for Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh talked about when Matt House visited with us yesterday, their defense coordinator, the elimination of the big plays. And Brian, so far so good in terms of that portion of the program.
They have. They've done a good job of getting aligned and making sure they know their assignment. Where they struggled last week was with a lot of the zone running game, that zone option with that Duke ran against them, and UVA is trying to replicate that here. And Parks caught a seam there. And he's a guy who could take you all the way. He could take it to the house if you give him too much, but they held him just a second.
Another carry for Parks. I think it'll be short of the first down. Shakir Soto on the stop for Pittsburgh.
You see Pittsburgh up front. There's their big man absorbing blockers, leaving guys free, and this is huge for them. They've got to stop running against Virginia. Virginia has not had a lot of success throwing the football. If Pitt can continue to stop the run effectively, they're going to find themselves getting more and more 3 and outs. We'll see what Watford can do here, but he has not looked to be in sync with his receivers yet today in this game.
Cavaliers are 1 and 2 on third down. Pistol look again. And Parks, it's going to be close as he got toward the 20-yard line. Ezel, the redshirt senior, and Soto combined on the stop, but I think it's enough for Virginia's conversion, and it is. 24 yards on the first 6 carries today for Kevin Parks as head coach Paul Chryst of the Panthers looks on. His team opened here against Florida State Labor Day night. And of course he goes upstairs when they're on offense and they get a look. Joe Rudolph, the offensive coordinator, stays downstairs here for him. There's Watford being flushed out of the pocket. And the throw is almost picked. Venepal on the backside nearly had the interception as Watford ran out of space.
We've seen a couple times here, Wes. Number 5, Ewan Price, getting some pressure in the backfield. He's had a nice game so far. But the star to watch on that defense, it was Aaron Donald, and once again, he's driving through and disrupting the backfield. And if they can do that continuously, you know, Watford, again, he has trouble seeing this defense and slowing things down in this football game. If they can not allow him to get comfortable in this game, Pitt's defense could have a lot more success than they had last week.
Ray Venepal, the redshirt junior, is shaken up on the play for Pittsburgh. Panthers 7, Virginia nothing. Back to Heinz Field in a moment. 7-0, the Panthers lead the Cavaliers here in this first quarter at Heinz Field at the University of Pittsburgh, a gorgeous campus right on the edge of downtown, and a fantastic football complex for Paul Christ and his group, and got to be pleased so far, leading 7-0 here, Brian.
Certainly. And, you know, Virginia's offense has sputtered as it's done all year. You know, they just have not been able to find consistency. They've been able to run the football a little bit more. They tried to throw it there on first down, and now they got themselves stuck in second and short. Where they got to avoid is third and long. That's where they have not been successful all year. If they get third and short, run the ball successfully, they got a shot in this game.
2nd down and 10 now for the Cavaliers. Daniel Ham is coming to the ball game out of the backfield, and Watford will throw to Ham, and it's incomplete. Ham, an interesting story out of Whitwell, Virginia, down near the southwestern part of the Commonwealth. He had 21 carries, 136 yards, 2 touchdowns last week in the win over VMI, but he's a walk-on in Mike London's program.
It's amazing the talent that's out there that people don't know about. This sport has grown so much that you get kids like Daniel Ham, and they couldn't be happier.
Virginia's 2 of 3 on 3rd down. Parks back in now. And they fumble the ball. And let's see, did Pittsburgh get on it, or did Virginia recover? Bam Bradley got in there, but I think the Cavaliers might have been able to recover the bobble. No, Pittsburgh has it.
Another huge turnover for Pittsburgh in Virginia's territory, and I think it was the blitz. Pittsburgh lined up. You could see the blitz coming, and I think they were so concerned with picking up the blitz that they messed up the snap, the most basic thing on being on offense, and it's going to cost them.
Bradley, I think, gets the recovery. Oh, Mike London.
Well, when you're on the road, the first thing you can't do is turn the ball over. They've already done it both times now, where Pitt doesn't have to move the ball very far at all to score.
Ball at the 18 of Virginia. Connor the back. And taken out by Nicholson. Well, Virginia came into the ball game -5 takeaway giveaway. Watford had thrown 6 interceptions. They had only committed 2 fumbles for London State. Now 2 more fumbles. They're -7 takeaway giveaway here in their 4th game.
And these are 2 areas they're not even getting hit to cause these fumbles. These aren't fumbles or strips or forced fumbles. These are mental errors. You know, you touch the ball as it's rolling around after a punt. That's a mental error. Mess up the snap, mental error. That's why that's going to get a coach even more frustrated.
I sat here behind Savage now. 2nd down. Street. Caught it. Touchdown, Pittsburgh. Savage, Brian, you said it in the open today. He'll throw you open.
I'll tell you what, Kennedy doesn't have bad coverage on Devin Street, but Savage puts it right in the breadbasket for Devin Street off the wheel route. Devin Street's going to run the wheel route and out and up right in the corner of the end zone. And look at that. He barely has to put his hands out to catch the football.
Savage throws his 10th touchdown of the year. Street catches his 3rd.
Nice play fake here, and it's just tough to keep up with the speed of these wide receivers, especially that wheel route. The wheel route is a really difficult. You think he's running it out, you're going to try and jump it. He takes it up to the corner of the end zone, and Savage just throws it so well that even in tight coverage, the only guy who can catch the ball is Devin Street.
2 turnovers for Virginia, 2 touchdowns, and Savage and the Panthers go back to what they were doing a week ago, spinning it.
Oh, and you said it, spin it. Savage gets more rotations on this football per yard than many quarterbacks I know in the country, and he can throw it on a rope. He can also put nice touch on the ball. Very few quarterbacks have that big of a gun and the kind of touch that he has.
Really, when you think about it, this is the 2nd highest scoring conference game. The 58-55 ball game, only surpassed by Georgia Tech, North Carolina a year ago at Chapel Hill. Nearly 600 yards for Pittsburgh. Duke had 532, Brian, and lost.
unbelievable. And they lost with just tiny mistakes that could have cost either one of those football teams that game. But we talked about Pitt making the big play as being one of the keys for this football game. They've done that, but they did it against Duke as well.
So Pittsburgh now has taken advantage of the 2 turnovers, leading 14-0. And Brian, here's the interesting part I think we got from our visit this week. How would Virginia handle the pressure if they fell behind offensively? It's what happened against Oregon. Not so much there. They did handle it against BYU, and that time Terrell had the ball kick off his foot again. And Virginia's able to fall on it out near the 22-yard line. But how will the Cavalier offense handle this 2-touchdown deficit? Still first period, lots of time. But still, the Cavaliers don't play from behind very much.
They don't, because that puts a tremendous amount of pressure on their passing game, which is not what they're good at. This is a running football team for Virginia. David Watford's a new quarterback. He's just getting used to the system. They haven't been very effective through the air. They're down 2 touchdowns now. If it gets any more sideways here in favor of Pitt, they're going to have to throw the ball almost every play.
And to the point, Matt House, the defensive coordinator of Pittsburgh, can he roll the dice here a little bit, take some chances?
He certainly can. He can. But, you know, he's been getting great pressure from his front 4. So he can continue to keep it balanced and mix it up if he wants to, too.
First down, here's Parks. And Tyrone Ezel. And Anthony Gonzalez. Boy, Gonzalez has been around the football. That's 4 tackles already for him in the ball.
And 28 Gonzalez.
Second down and 7 facing Watford and Virginia. Steve Fairchild, the offensive coordinator of Virginia, brought it up to us this week, and he said it through the preseason. Biggest key for Watford at quarterback will be continued growth. And either a win or a loss, can he learn something to build upon the next week as he gets ready to play? Snap over his head. And Watford will fall on it, but back inside the 10.
I'll tell you what, Wes, Mike London on that sideline has got to be near a heart attack at this point. These are simple mental things that they're making errors that are causing them to lose the game. This is the second time, number 65, Ross Burbank, their center. You know, last possession we saw him fumble a shotgun snap. Now one goes over the head of the quarterback, and they're back way up in their own end zone.
Virginia chases Tim Smith to the top of the screen. Now the Cavaliers are going to take the timeout. Play clock was already down near 5 seconds. So the Cavaliers.
This will be a 30-second timeout.
And that's a smart move by the coach. They need to calm down, get refocused. They can't afford another costly mistake here. They're already, if they don't get this first down, they're already in terrible field position. They're going to be punting out of their own end zone.
Cavaliers have yet to pick up any yardage passing. And boy, the 2 fumbles. Terrell here colliding with Tim Harris. Couldn't come back on it. The ball bounced off his leg. And then all of a sudden, the shotgun snap mishandled. And then a moment ago, Ross Burbank snapped it over the head or shoulder of David Watford.
Well, you know, I mentioned Ross Burbank on the fumbled snap a possession ago. That was actually the mistake of David Watford. That snap was there. He mishandled it because he was looking. He knew the blitz was coming. He had his eyes on that blitz.
Third and very long for Virginia. Inside Parks. Hit pretty hard. Darrell Render and Anthony Gonzalez combined on the stop.
When you've got an offense that has 0 passing yards, you're out of sync. That's what you're going to have to do on 3rd and long. They can't take any chances. Run the ball, punt it away. And it looks like Pitt's going to get great field position again.
The redshirt junior, Alec Bazenelik, punted away. Kevin Weatherspoon.
For the Panthers.
Weatherspoon's another emerging wide receiver on this Pitt offense. The coaches like what they've seen from him so far this season as well. Collecting weapons here at Pitt.
Wobbly kick toward Weatherspoon. Ooh, and a big Virginia bounce. Cavaliers will take any boost they can get, and they get it there. 14-0 Pittsburgh, Jen, late in this first period, and a 50-yard punt from Vazinole.
Yeah, when you're Virginia and it seems like nothing is going your way, mistakes are happening, you look to the guys who are going to keep things together, and so far on the sideline, that's been Henry Coley, the middle linebacker for Virginia, called the guys into a huddle on the sideline, trying to keep them positive, keep them focused.
Well, Coley is one of those guys that'll help the true freshman Vallis along. John Tenuta talks about the physical leaders and the emotional leaders. Coley would fall under the emotional leadership category. There's the toss to Tyler Boyd. They advertised Boyd a couple different ways. Not only a fine pass catcher, but he also carries the football for him twice already today, 7 times this season for the freshman Boyd.
And there's a great shot, number 8, Anthony Harris, their playmaker and leader on defense. This kid's just got a nose for the football. He did a nice job there filling his gap from the inside out, making a tackle there.
Pretty simple for Pittsburgh. They've gotten a couple Virginia fumbles and cashed them in twice. 14-0. The Panthers looking for another win in the Coastal Division. We go to quarter 2 in Pittsburgh, 14-0 in our Hyundai game summary, and Pittsburgh not a lot of yardage, but Brian, there's your concern if you're Virginia.
Yeah, they're already down 2 touchdowns, and look at the total yards for Pitt. Only 57 total yards, but 14 points. That tells you they haven't had to drive the football. The turnovers by Virginia have been backed up into their own end zone. Pitt's only had to go 20 yards to score 2 times.
Not only no passing yards for Virginia, just 3 attempts as Savage and the Panthers go to work here. 2nd down and 9. In and out of the hands of Vanessa Gardner. Brian, we talk about spinning the ball. You said velocity on Savage.
Well, and it will show you when you slow this down, watch how many rotations his football when he throws it gets as it moves forward. NFL scouts will look at this when they draft quarterbacks, and it's a showcase of just how much velocity you get on a football. And Savage's ball spins. You see it real time. It's incredible live here at the stadium, ladies and gentlemen.
Here's Savage, 3rd and long. That got batted away. Intended for Street right in front of the Panther bench. Ran Urban 99. Got a hand up. The guy that is clearly one of John Tenuta's favorites in his front.
And this is exactly what Urban does. He had 5 passes batted down already coming into this game. He's one of the leaders in the nation in that category. 6'7". Such a player for this Virginia defense in the middle.
2nd 3 and out and 5 possessions for the Cavaliers. The punt toward Terrell. He'll get away from this one.
Leaving there, he almost second-guessed himself and went after that one. Smartly, he just gets away.
Cavaliers are going to start from inside their 10. 14-0 Pitt.
Ago, the Bulls' struggles continue down at Raymond James. This time it's Shayon Green takes care of the football there. Miami jumps on top of it. Touchdown. Canes up 28-7. It's now 35-7, fellas. Back to you in Pittsburgh.
Hans, thanks very much. A Miami win today would set up a critical Coastal Division ball game next Saturday at Sun Life Stadium at Miami Gardens, Florida, with the Canes and the Jackets of Georgia Tech. Of course, you lost by a touchdown in Atlanta on Thursday night to Virginia Tech. This, Brian, is also a very important Coastal Division game in terms of 2 teams outside the triumvirate of North Carolina, Georgia Tech, and Virginia Tech trying to challenge Miami.
Certainly, and other than Miami, you know, Georgia Tech and North Carolina, they've shown some weaknesses. They can be beaten.
Kevin Parks, who has got his 9th carry already in this first half. David Durham makes the play, the defensive end for the Panthers here.
Aaron Donald just continues to get good pressure for Pitt's defense. This was their key. I mean, they focused all week stopping the run. They've done a nice job of it so far.
Second down and a full and 10 here for Watford. Escapes pressure. He'll have the first down and more. Watford set sail. Ruled out of bounds. Got a great block from Kevin Parks.
Well, Virginia talked about Watford running the football there. What happened was the cornerback, Kawan Williams for Pitt defense, they run a corner blitz, get pressure on Watford. He sees that he's got no one in front of him, and steps out of bounds right there. But still a nice gain and moves the chains for University of Virginia's offense.
Tough greeting for Ewan Price in the Pitt bench area.
Ewan Price had a pretty darn good game already. Been in the backfield for Virginia quite a few times.
Delay of the game against the Cavaliers. Second penalty against Virginia.
And again, this is one of those scratch your head mistakes. When you have an offense that's struggling this much, you cannot afford mental errors like this.
First down and now 15 for the Cavaliers. Virginia comes in just 367 yards of offensive ball game. That's 11th in the ACC heading into week 5. And hand it off. Parks can't get any momentum going. Panthers are rallying to the football. Grigsby, the redshirt sophomore.
Brought down by 3 Nicholas Grigsby.
Dawan Williams as well. Jen Matthouse's defensive units really got it churning now.
Well, they do, and you guys talked about who their leader is. Aaron Donald, the big guy in the middle. You know, I think the coaches said it all when they said, if we're going to be good on defense, we need him to be good. I asked Aaron, I said, how do you carry all that on your shoulders? He said, I embrace it. I know my role as a defensive leader. Play fast, play mean, and play aggressive.
So far, he's delivered on all those characteristics.
Well, she said put it on his shoulders. He's got huge shoulders. There's plenty of room there, and he's getting pressure again on Watford in this play.
And Watford will throw it out of bounds, make it 3rd and long again for Virginia. Cavaliers are hitless in 4 third down tries. Donald is a delightful young man to visit with. Played at Penn Hills here in Pittsburgh. And he grew up a Steelers fan. And the interesting thing is Pittsburgh's football facility and the Steelers facility is kind of one in the same building. So he walks around and they interact on occasion during the course of the year. So he gets to walk around and guys he idolized. Troy Polamalu, guys like that. He said it was interesting to hear him talk about it yesterday.
Well, he talked about that helping him in his decision to come back for another year at Pitt rather than try and go to the NFL.
Watford escapes again, and he has a close to enough for the first down. Knocked out of bounds, I believe, just shy of the stick. Howard, the corner, chases down David Watford, who's arguably got Virginia's 2 best rushing plays here today.
He certainly does. They talk about him being a throw-first quarterback, but they've run a lot of designed runs, and here you got a quarterback draw, and he's got solid vision. He gets good blocking downfield and just can't get enough for that first down, but a better drive for Virginia, something they could try and build on.
39 yards on 5 carries for Watford here this afternoon. Zenlik's punt toward Weatherspoon on the far side, and just a couple of yards on the return for Kevin Weatherspoon. Well, Pittsburgh with a couple of touchdowns off Virginia miscues, and that's the difference in our ball game here in the first half. Pittsburgh 14, Virginia nothing. Second quarter at Heinz Field. Tom Savage and the Panthers going back to work. Savage 4 out of 10 for 38 yards and the touchdown to Devin Street. The freshman Connor has come back in now. The running back spot. Savage throws and what a catch. Boyd at the 28-yard line and enough for the Panther first down. Demetrius Nicholson there on the coverage for Virginia.
Well, the Pitt offense making a play, which means they're doing what their offensive coordinator, Joe Rudolph, was talking to about when they were on the sideline. He was pretty intense looking at his guys and saying to them, look, the defense is playing their behinds off. I kind of edited that, but you get what I mean. He said they're playing hard. You guys need to go out there and make a play. Lock in. When it's time to make a play, make it. That helps.
Absolutely. Great start. Ooh, look at the Cavaliers rallying the football there. Brent Urban led the charge with Snyder in that front. They're doing a good job. Eli Harold, number 7, also in the mix, Brian. Tenuta's front four is playing very well here against the Panthers.
They are, and they're starting to be helped because he's starting to bring more pressure. He's starting to bring 5 and 6 on some plays, and there you see when you blitz linebackers and you blitz safeties, it makes offensive linemen have to account for more than just Brent Urban, and Brent Urban's been able to make some plays one-on-one beating this Pitt line.
3 receivers set for 2nd and 11. Savage, Pitt, Nicholson. Intercepted by Demetrius Nicholson at the 35. It'll be his 3rd career interception and his 1st of the season for the junior from Virginia Beach.
Huge play for Virginia. It's exactly what they needed. They blitz off the backside. Savage gets rid of it in time, but Demetrius Nicholson just makes a fantastic break on the ball. It's difficult to make a break on a slant cover or slant pattern without getting pass interference. You've got to time it perfect, and right there Demetrius Nicholson did. If you go too early, you're going to get called for pass interference.
First turnover of the day by Pittsburgh, so the Cavaliers will play from the Panther 35-yard line. And Watford's got the freshman Ham behind him. Here is Daniel Ham on the carry for a couple of yards. And Soto and Ezel combine on the stop. Virginia really now trying to maybe measure a little tempo.
Well, they had some success in that last drive with some design runs for Watford. Here he is again, the pistol formation. See what they do.
That's Ham, freshman from Whitfield, Virginia, and Aaron Donald pushes him back. So to bring up 3rd down, Brian.
And here you see Virginia blitzes off the backside, puts Savage under pressure, but Demetrius Nicholson makes such a nice break on the ball here, times it perfect, and he's reading the eyes of the quarterback, and he has just a good feel for that slant route. Huge play there for Virginia's defense, which has played well all season. They haven't been given many good opportunities in this game with all the turnovers.
Watford to throw. And on the backside, this is Darius Jennings. He'll get a yard, maybe 2, but that will not be enough for the first down. Grigsby makes the play. Helping out at one of the linebackers is Nicholas Grigsby. And trailing 14-0, Virginia's going to go for this on 4th down.
Well, I like the call. You got to put your guys out there and show them you're confident winning the game. The offense hasn't done much. I wouldn't be surprised to see Watford running the football here rather than throwing it.
Once look to the near side. No passing yards today for Virginia, or 3 passing yards on that one a moment ago. Pitch out and Parks won't get there. Great play in space by Todd Thomas, the linebacker. Brian Thomas was equal to man in the one-on-one sequence.
He certainly was, and he makes a fantastic play there. They weren't fooled at all. They're thinking it was going to be a pass.
Playing in linebacker. Thomas does a great job here.
Right here. Watch him make a play on his feet. Comes off the block. Man, just beautiful inside-out pursuit of the tackle that prevents you from getting juked.
Boy, frustrating for Mike London. Virginia gives away the turnover on downs. And Pittsburgh leading by 2 scores here.
That was such a huge opportunity for Virginia. They had some momentum on their side. The players were jumping around and getting excited again, and the air just got taken right out from their lungs.
So now Savage and Pittsburgh get it back. 14-0 at Heinz Field.
Time for
Not a lot there. Henry Coley, the middle linebacker, is the first Cavalier to greet freshman James Conner.
Greet's a nice word of saying it. Coley read that play from the start, filled nicely on his gap. Lays a big hit there for Virginia's defense.
Hard running for the Panthers. Conner just 23 yards on his first 7 carries and a touchdown. For Pittsburgh. Here's Savage. And that's Boyd to catch. And pulled out of bounds by Nicholson at about the 33, 34-yard line. So Tyler Boyd, 4 catches already here in this first half.
And they make it difficult, too. They love to line up Boyd and Street next to each other and run these really tough combination routes, difficult to cover. Nicholson does a nice job. What they're trying to do is get Boyd the ball in space, let him put a move on you and get vertical. Nicholson does a nice job, again, of wrapping him up, getting him down.
And we get a timeout taken here by Paul Chris.
Pittsburgh, that is their first timeout of the half. This will be a 30-second timeout.
Get a third down play coming up here for Pittsburgh in this Week 5 Coastal Division ball game, because it's a critical look. And you start looking at the standings. It kicked off in the Coastal Division of the ACC on Thursday night. They celebrated the 100th anniversary of historic Grant Field in Midtown Atlanta. Logan Thomas was 8 for his first 8. Georgia Tech turned it over twice in their first 3 possessions. And the big fella at quarterback, Brian, got the Hokies to a touchdown win.
Huge game for Virginia Tech. There's just been a lot of mud slung their way, doubts about their offense, where they were going to be, and they put themselves in a real nice position now in the conference. And we got Georgia Tech is going to go down there to visit Miami next week, and that's going to be another huge game. And that horrible road trip, or that horrible middle of the schedule for Georgia Tech, where they're going to go Virginia Tech, Miami, BYU.
Here's Savage, and looks like some miscommunication along the way here. Brent Urban got into the pocket and forced that throw by Savage offline. So Virginia continuing to still have some success pressuring the quarterback.
Well, this is nothing new to this defense. This defense has dealt with adversity all season long. Their offense has underperformed. Their offense has turned the ball over. This defense has been the most consistent part of this football team. And here they are again, giving their offense a chance.
3 and out for the third time in 7 first-half possessions for the Cavaliers. And the punt away toward Terrell at the 31. Picks up about 8 yards on the return for Dominique Terrell. David Durham covers it on special teams for Pittsburgh. Just beyond the midway point of quarter number 2 at Heinz Field. Still 14-0 Pitt. Heinz Field, the home of the Steelers and the Panthers. One of the new addresses in the ACC. They honor some of the great Pitt players. Hugh Green, 99, Ditka, Fralick, Mark May, all up on the facade here at one end of the field. And we welcome you back, David Watford and Virginia getting ready to go on offense here for their 6th possession of this first half. And on first down, Watford tries the middle of the field. That's Darius Jennings, the junior from Baltimore. Best pass play of the day by far for Virginia into Pittsburgh territory at the 34. We apologize to some of you around the country. I know we've been experiencing some technical difficulties with our transmission here from Heinz Field, but we welcome you here to Pittsburgh and Virginia in the Coastal Division of the ACC, and the Cavaliers with the Coastal Division of the ACC, and the Cavaliers with a little momentum play, 27 yards on first down. And
it looks like they're going to go a little up-tempo, but that was a nice strike delivered from quarterback David Watford, and they gave him time. It all started with the protection.
Watford looking to throw again. Out of the backfield, Parks. Not only a fine ball carrier, pretty reliable receiver for Virginia. Picks up a few yards before Gonzalez, the redshirt junior at linebacker, makes the play. Gonzalez had a pick 6 last week at Duke that ended up kind of being the winning score of the ball game against Cutcliffe and the Blue Devils.
Huge play by Gonzalez. He's definitely been a playmaker for this defense. And, you know, their coordinator, Matt House, talked about all the different looks this Virginia offense gives you, from the pistol, from the throw style, spreading you out. Now they're going a little up-tempo. Another look this offense gives you.
Jen, now Virginia starting to move the tempo a little bit.
Yeah, and what you guys are going to want to look at for them is their offensive line. They just had a fire lit under them on the sideline before they came out on the field by their offensive line coach, Scott Walkenheim. He said, don't play scared, don't be afraid of making mistakes, and stop playing soft.
So far, so good in this drive for Watford. And pass to Parks, who, boy, he took a shot from Venipal, the safety. And Kevin Parks on a knee.
They can't afford to lose Kevin Parks.
Watch this. Whoa.
Wow. Venipal at full speed when he makes the hit, but it started with the pursuit of Aaron Donald. He bull rushed into the backfield and got right to the face of Watford. I know this Virginia offensive line coach is trying to fire them up, and that's why. But so far, Aaron Donald's having his way down there in the trenches.
4th down, and now Virginia will use another timeout here. Remember, they missed on 4th down earlier. Parks came out of the ball game after the collision with Venipal. And so Daniel Ham had covered. And so Mike London will talk about it with his group. Pretty good collision. Now, Brian, that's a, you know, in this year of college football, we talk about targeting and crown of the helmet hits and things of that nature. Pretty good collision right there.
It certainly was. The key was Venipal had his head arched back, hit more with the face mask than he did with the crown of the helmet. But a great read by a safety. He sees the eyes of Watford check down to the running back out of the backfield. He sees it and comes right and fills inside out to make a beautiful tackle. And Parks is shaken up. But again, it all started with number 97, Aaron Donald, just once again running over the offensive line of Virginia.
Remember, we're talking about an ejection now with the crown of the helmet. You've seen it throughout the first 4 weeks of the college football season. If it happens in the first half, the remainder of the game, second half, it's you'll miss the first half of next week's ball game or the next ball game. Now, if it's called, the 15-yard penalty stands plus the ejection. Now, if the ejection is overturned, it can also lead to a 15-yard penalty still standing, but the ejection would be overturned, I should say. McGee was the intended receiver on 4th down. That got broken up by Venipal.
Well, and that's a play McGee has got to make. I'm surprised the first time we've mentioned the tight ends of Virginia. They are great weapons. Watford puts the ball in the money, and McGee just can't hang on to it. A decent coverage there from Venipal. He's on him, but McGee has a shot, gets his hands in that ball, and just drops. And when you've got a quarterback that struggled this season with consistency like Watford has, you've got to make that play and get that first down.
Well, an interesting situation here now for Savage and Pittsburgh, Brian, because this is their 8th possession. They got 5.5 minutes left. And they get it back on downs for the second time in as many possessions. So more pressure on Tenuta's defense in Virginia. And the ball carrier is Isaac Bennett. Nothing there. It's Henry Coley, the middle linebacker, along with Trent Corney, the defensive end. The play here. Now, Brian, talk about that. It's that bar above the face mask, the nose pad, I guess is what they call it in helmet terminology.
It is. He ducks his head slightly, but it's the side of his head, and the crown of the helmet's defined by that top part of the helmet. He doesn't strike him with that. As you can see, the speed of that play, it is hard as a defender to think in that split second, I'll tilt my head back, make sure I don't target.
And Savage is going to be sacked. The marker in on the play. Vallis getting the start today. The true freshman at linebacker. The converted tight end able to get to Savage, and the penalty against Virginia or against Pittsburgh for the hold.
Well, Virginia's defense.
57 offense. Penalties declined. 3rd down.
They talked about Vallis, how nice a runner he is, how quick he is off the ball, and he just beats him there. He beats the freshman, Adam Bisnawadi, who we talked about at the beginning of the game. Very rare you're going to see a freshman left tackle, and he's going up against another freshman, and Max Vallis, that freshman, wins that one.
The hold on Artie Rowell, the center, against Brent Urban. Savage tried to get it down the middle of the field. Now flag going to be thrown in against Virginia's middle linebacker, Henry Coley. Pittsburgh had Gardner downfield, the tight end.
Defense number 44, 15-yard penalty, 1st down.
Garner is the fullback slash H-back tight end combination player.
And pressure again on Savage. Urban splits a double team, gets some nice pressure, and Coley looked to be beat here. And rather than give up a huge play, I think he made the conscious decision to tackle the receiver and take the pass interference instead.
Ball pushed up to the 38 for Pittsburgh.
This is a huge break because this offense is sputtering.
Connor in the ball game. That's Parrish in motion. Savage pushes the pocket. And overthrows Devin Street. Coley was pressuring Tom Savage.
And West Virginia's defensive front is doing such a nice job absorbing blockers that we've seen Henry Coley get free reads. He's been able to move around without any blockers on him. He gets pressure again there because Savage had Devin Street open on that. He wanted Devin Street, but because he had to run outside that pocket, couldn't hit him.
So what's Joe Rudolph do here late in this first half and really at halftime? Is Pittsburgh got to get into quicker releases here?
They have to. They got to go three-step drop or sooner because they're getting man coverages because Virginia's sending so many guys. You need to take advantage of those and make the play.
There's Isaac Bennett now. And he'll pick up maybe 4 or 5 on the play, and it'll still be third down. Daquan Romero, the weak side linebacker, and Anthony Harris help out for Virginia.
You know, early on in the game when Pitt was moving the ball effectively, Virginia was only sending their front 4, and they were sitting back in zone coverage. And Tom Savage was able to find some openings with these wide receivers. They were finding the openings in that zone. They were moving the football. Since then, in the second quarter, they really haven't done much. They've got 14 points, but it's all because Virginia's giving them the football in the red zone.
Savage 6 of 16 for 56 yards, and Pittsburgh just 2 of 7 on third down. Here's a shot for Boyd, who makes a great catch. Rack up another highlight for Tyler Boyd. He and Street have delivered when given an opportunity in this first half.
Wow, that's a beautiful throw from Savage, and it started with the offensive line. Look at the defensive stunt. They're gonna twist up front, and Savage puts the ball right on the money in that zone defense. We talked about Virginia not having success when they only rush 4 and sit back in zone coverage, and Savage puts it on the money, and there's a freshman with beautiful concentration.
30-yard play to Tyler Boyd. Now they're trying to run it with Connor and Virginia right there. Coley again led the way for the Cavaliers. We've seen 2 great catches out of Tyler Boyd, a great touchdown catch out of Devin Street already in this first half for Pitt.
Well, they certainly are weapons, and this quarterback, he's got a rifle. He'll get it to him if they're open. But when Virginia's not getting pressure on Tom Savage, that's what's been happening in this football game.
Loss of a couple on the play there. Savage now 86 yards on 7 completions. Bennett has gone wide to the far side with Weatherspoon. Out of the Pittsburgh backfield, Boyd is there with Savage. Here comes the pressure again. Savage will have to scramble. Working toward the first down, and out of bounds near the first down. Might have it. Got a nice block by Boyd, his wide receiver.
Boyd trying to return the favor and maybe get himself a few more targets this game. Savage makes a great decision there. Everybody was covered, pulls it down and runs for a first. He's had that kind of day. Look at the arm strength. When the guys are open in zone coverage, he puts it on the money, and he'll beat your zone coverage with the strength of his arm. Very accurate, especially there in that touchdown pass.
2 tight end set here for Pittsburgh. And this is Connor. You know, it's interesting when you start talking about Tom Savage, Jen. You forget he's 23 years old, and he's had a lot of football. I mean, the Rutgers, the Arizona, now to Pittsburgh. And I enjoyed our visit with him yesterday very much just because of his honesty about what he's been through.
No doubt. You know, I think his long journey, he summed it up by saying he was humbled, Wes. And I asked him, do you feel like you have something to prove? And I thought his answer said everything. He said, only to my teammates. I want to show them I can lead them and I can help them win. I thought that said a lot.
Well, and he's done a marvelous job. And his typical quarterback, Brian, lives for the next throw. And here's one to Devin Street. He can't catch up with it in the corner of the end zone.
Well, they went right back to the play that Devin Street scored his touchdown on before, that wheel route. And this time Savage just barely overthrew him. And again, Kennedy was in the coverage. He had tight coverage on the touchdown play, but Savage put it on the money. That one he overthrew a little bit.
And when I say he lives for the next throw, Brian, he was pretty honest. I mean, when you go 15 of 28, a touchdown, 2 picks on opening night against Florida State, you got to find a way to live for the next throw.
He certainly did. Well, he said he'd rather win a game and throw 6 interceptions than lose one that he throws 6 touchdowns. And he meant it, and I believe it. It says a lot about his character.
3rd and long from the pocket again, and tried to go back to Devin Street. Nicholson's going to be flagged for pass interference here on Street. Savage had his arms extended. Here's referee Hennigan. Pass interference on Devin Street.
Pass interference, offense number 15. 15-yard penalty, 3rd down.
Let's get a look here, Brian.
Well, let's see here. Well, you know, it all depends on what the referee sees, and he saw those hands to the face from Devin Street as he's trying to make his break. Receiver puts his hands in the face mask of the cornerback. That's going to get called.
Correction. The penalty is declined. 4th down.
So if the penalty is declined, then Virginia will sacrifice the yardage rather than potentially roll the dice on a 3rd and long with the way Pittsburgh can fling it.
Well, and the difference here is they had the big play to Tyler Boyd where they moved, and that's really the key play in this drive. There, they sent 6 guys, got pressure on the quarterback, forced a quick throw, and now they're here in 4th down.
Here's the freshman Chris Blewett, who's 3 of 4 on the year, 36 yards. Here's the try, and he missed it. So Blewett's field goal try from 36, no good.
This has been an area they've struggled in. Last week they missed a PAT. They've struggled in the special teams area. They've gotten lucky on a few bad decisions by Virginia today. Better special teams play for Pittsburgh, but that's costly.
11 plays for the Panthers. The missed field goal covers 54 yards on the drive. Virginia will get the ball back at its 20. Still a 14-0 ball game. You see Paul Chryst, the Panther head coach, visiting with the veteran field judge in the ACC, Billy Beckett, there, because I'm sure he's as concerned about how the philosophy on the flag of the pass interference against Devin Street worked after we saw the replay on the collision with Nicholson.
Certainly.
And Aaron Donald sacks Watford.
We've mentioned this young man's name several times already. This is a kid, get used to watching him play. Nice swim move. You put one blocker on Aaron Donald and he's going to beat you more than half the time. Just so big and explosive. He's so fast. Cody Wallace just didn't have a chance there. The right guard for UVA's offensive line. Donald's going to be a guy you're going to see playing on Sundays, so get used to watching him.
Apparently the unofficial ping pong champion of the Pitt football team, we've come to find out.
He is. He was sweating hard from that matchup. I wanted to make sure he wasn't too tired to play the game today.
Kevin Parks pulled down again. That's Aaron Donald one more time for the Panthers. And now with
a 30-second timeout.
3rd down coming up, Paul Chryst uses a timeout here in hopes that maybe he can get one more snap out of his offense, which already leads 14-0. Get ready. Doubleheader Saturday coming up next week of ACC College Football Saturday. Jawan Edwards and the Cardinals of Ball State come to Charlottesville to meet the Cavaliers. Brian Jen and myself will be in Winston-Salem Atlantic Division battle. Wake Forest and North Carolina State. A double dip of ACC College Football Saturday coming up, presented by Coors Light. We'll get another look at Michael Campanaro of the Demon Deacons next Saturday afternoon, 3:30 Eastern at BB&T Field. Campanaro, there have been some bumps in the road, but he's been steady.
He is as consistent a player as you have in this conference. Fantastic. They get him the ball in the run game, the return game, the pass game, and just a great guy to be around.
Here's Watford keeping it. Whoa, what a play. Ewan Price fired off that defensive end spot. And another Pittsburgh timeout.
This will be a 30-second.
Ewan Price has had a lot of success here. He fakes like he's going wide, slips inside. He's been on the other side of the line of scrimmage the entire first half. He's another impressive young football player this Pitt football team has.
And that is David Watford, injured on the play, but the Panthers have made quite a stand here late, Brian.
They certainly have. It really starts with up front. They've dominated the line of scrimmage. And here you see again, Aaron Donald's been in that backfield just a ton, and he's absorbing so many blockers, allowing them to rush free on the edge and keep Watford under pressure all day. A much better defensive performance this week for University of Pittsburgh. It was so important for Matt House, their defensive coordinator, to perform better and make some gains from last week. He felt that at times against Duke, they played so well, and then at the same time, there were times they played so poor. He had to find consistency, and they're doing that today.
Well, Watford is up and off the field under his own power. And there is Matt House, the defensive coordinator of the Panthers, right there in the middle. Worked with the St. Louis Rams in the past.
He is an intense human being.
Spent some time in the ACC on John Bunning's staff years ago in North Carolina. Vasilek off the back line of the end zone. Pitt tried to get there, could not. Got it away to Weatherspoon. On the fly at the 37. And he'll be pulled down on the play by Vallis. Boy, the young freshman has played well for Virginia here in his first start today. 35-yard punt. And 5 seconds left. And Pittsburgh was serious. They put their outstanding receiver, Devin Street, on this.
Well, they talked about special teams and their poor performance last week, that they wanted more of their starters, more of their key guys to start playing on special teams, that everybody took it more seriously.
So with 5 seconds left, Tom Savage might have one throw in the end zone here. Boyd, Street, Weatherspoon are bunched to the bottom of the screen. Here comes the pressure. Savage will just be sacked. Boy, the Cavaliers, Maurice Kennedy on the corner blitz, Brian, ends the half.
Now, no surprise with the John Tenuto defense coming after the quarterback. They've had a lot of success today when they've done that.
Third sack of Tom Savage by Virginia ends this first half at Heinz Field. But 2 Cavalier turnovers have been cashed in by the Panthers. And let's join Jen with Paul Christ.
Thank you, Wes. Coach, your defense stands tall yet again. How do you get a few more points, maybe some more consistency out of your offense?
I think you said it right there. We're really inconsistent right now offensively. We're not converting on third downs, and I don't think we're doing a good job of running the ball. The defense is certainly carrying us and giving us some good plays. Turnovers really on both sides, but take advantage of the turnovers. But we got to be a lot more consistent offensively and defensively. Got to keep playing, certainly.
What have you learned about how you want to attack this Virginia defense?
Well, certainly got a lot of respect. I mean, I don't think we're seeing anything that we hadn't anticipated. We've got to just do a better job of, I think it comes back a lot of times to pad level, hitting the holes. And when you're struggling running the ball or when you're struggling doing anything, sometimes you try to do something that's a little bit out of character. And we got to get back to, I think, the basics in a lot of things.
Keep it simple. Thanks, Coach. Wes.
All right, Jen, thanks. Thanks to Paul Christ. His team leads 14-0 here at halftime at Heinz Field as the Panthers look for their second ACC win.
Any last requests, Mr. Baldwin?
Mind grabbing my phone and opening the Capital One purchase eraser? I need to redeem some venture miles before my demise.
Okay.
It's easy to erase any recent travel expense I want. Just pick that flight right there, give it a few taps, and it's taken care of.
This is pretty easy, and I see it works on hotels, too.
You bet. Now, if you like that, press the red button on top. How did he not see that coming? What's in your wallet?
This is the Capital One Halftime Report.
Welcome into the ESPN3 Halftime Report presented by Capital One. I'm Prim Sripapat. Coming up, we'll join the ESPN Goal Line Network in progress. That will get you up to date with all the action that's going on today. What is Goal Line? Well, it features unlimited live cut-ins, highlights, and analysis from the biggest matchups throughout the day. But first, let's take a look at this week's Capital One Cup Impact performance from Thursday night, and that is Logan Thomas, a senior quarterback of Virginia Tech. He was 19 of 25 for 221 passing yards and 1 touchdown, along with 58 rushing yards and 1 rushing TD. Now, after dropping their season opener to Alabama, the Hokies have now won 4 in a row. Next up for them, they will host North Carolina next Saturday at 12:30 p.m. Eastern on ESPN3. Well, as promised, we will get you updated with everything that is going on today as we join the Goal Line Network in progress. Just a reminder that Goal Line is available through participating TV providers and live on Watch ESPN.
Of Alabama offense that we're accustomed to seeing, especially on the ground. So people need to get used to that and understand that. So Alabama, I think they're gonna need A.J. McCarron this game and deeper into the season to perform well, hit those big plays, because they don't have the same type of ground attack. The other thing I'll tell you is this defense is nowhere as good as the defense was last year. Keep in mind they were either 1 or number 2 the entire season in scoring defense. And yeah, they're in the top 50, but this is not the same Alabama team that we saw last year. People need to get used to that and understand that Bo Wallace, the quarterback from Ole Miss, is going to attack this defense. I think Alabama ultimately wins the game, but I think Ole Miss can hang in there probably into the third quarter.
Now, Coach Saban did speak a little bit about perhaps changing this offense and putting it a little bit more up-tempo. Your thoughts on changing and gearing the offense to a more up-tempo type of style?
Alabama, you're not going to change who you are as an offensive football team. They may run a few more plays, but everybody makes a big deal about how many plays you run. And I think that's only valid in an instance of a Baylor or Oregon. Because they're successful at doing it. It really doesn't matter how many plays you run if you're not scoring points and you're not putting you're not putting the games out of reach. So Alabama's going to line up. They're going to do what they do, try to establish a run, A.J. McCarron, play action over the top. I think the biggest thing is can Alabama's defense consistently show up, shut down Bo Wallace out of that zone read package, which they had some success doing early in the game against Texas A&M.
That game at 6:30 today, Ole Miss and Alabama. Now, in the earlier game today, Northern Illinois, they came to play against Purdue. They really took care of Purdue in the first half, but in the second half, they got started with a bang. The opening kickoff returned for a touchdown. Here it is. Take a look at it. I mean, you talk about offense, defense, and now special teams, John.
One of the top offensive football teams in all of college football in terms of being top 25 scoring. But this is what Northern Illinois can do to you. Plenty of playmakers. He found a seam, stepped on the gas, hit the seam at full speed. And think about the momentum in that stadium right now. You're playing Northern Illinois. Now they go up by 34. Look at the scoring and look at the emotion in that stadium right now. It's all Northern Illinois.
You mentioned it. You called this game. You said this Husky offense was legit. They were big. Upset here over Purdue. Your thoughts on Lynch and how he's been able to distribute the ball?
I've been a believer in Lynch. He's a 216-pound quarterback, dual threat, can run and can throw. Leads his team. Very confident kid. There's a lot of good athletes on this football team. I thought Purdue might take this team lightly, which I think they've had, but this is also not a fluke. Northern Illinois is not lining up and trick playing Purdue. They're running right at them. They're running their basic offense, and right now they're just dominating on both the offensive and defensive lines.
All right, elsewhere in college football, Miami taking on South Florida, and the Canes pouring it all over the Bulls. Let's take you out to that game. They're already in the red zone.
Miami is thrown for 355 yards today. USF is thrown for 40. Play action. Williams wants 6. He'll have to scramble. And on the run, got the reception to Coley, and he gets his 6. Dede Lattimore with the hit. Coley with the touchdown.
I'm not so sure if Coley ever had a foot that landed inbounds. That ball was going to Clive Walford the whole way, and Coley stole this. I think that's where Williams wanted to go. He was throwing it to the back of the end zone. Let's see if a foot ever touches. I don't think so, Tom. I think that toe may have touched out of bounds. Walford was in the end zone, and so was Coley. The quarterback trying to put it close. The hand may have touched before the foot. We'd have to take another look to see if that left arm or the left elbow touches in bounds before the foot touches out of bounds.
So this one going upstairs.
I believe the focus is on the left arm of Coley. Let's see if it lands in bounds, or the hand. Looks like the hand touches first. Let's see if it lands first in bounds. What sure does look like that wrist, the back of his hand touches in bounds before the foot touches out of bounds. That's a great throw by Ryan Williams. The only place you could put the football. I just think that the left wrist gets curled up, and I think the back of the hand or the wrist touches inbounds before the foot comes out of bounds.
Are his fingertips or that orange glove across the line?
Tom, at 25, I would have been able to tell you yes. But as I'm nearing 50, I'm not quite sure. It looks like the wrist gets down, and I can't tell if the fingertips are out of bounds or not.
The ruling on the field was a catch and a touchdown. It must be indisputable video evidence to overturn. ACC crew says.
After further review, the ruling on the field stands. Touchdown.
Ryan Williams has been magnificent in relief of Stephen Morris.
How about the weapons at the disposal of Stephen Morris and Ryan?
Back to South Carolina, Central Florida, 10-0, Knights up.
By the way, in that first half, Dylan Thompson, 9 of 22, 115 yards and a pick. Here's Davis, he's loose. He can outrun everybody. Inside the 10, touchdown, South Carolina.
Touchdown, Carolina. Number 28.
53-yard rushing score for a guy that has 2 75-yard runs this season. He can fly.
What a mix of power and speed. The play before, he runs over the safety, puts him on the bench, hurt. Then he comes back and outruns the rest of the defense. Just a special back that Steve Spurrier's found for his Gamecocks.
4 plays, all rushes. And finally, South Carolina on the board. You heard Steve Spurrier tell Tom Luganville at the end of the half. And the 2 questions that Spurrier was asked, he mentioned running the ball. And both answers, as the extra point is good.
Back to Oklahoma State, West Virginia. West Virginia starting deep in their own territory.
He is able to pick up about 6 yards. We go down to Quinn Kesnick.
Positive body language and the ability to react and make a play like that one. It's what Dana Holgerson likes the most about Clint Trickett in the first half. He said the negative, there's some operational issues within the Mountaineers offense, some reads, some of the intricacies that Geno Smith did so well that he continues to struggle with.
We were told, Quinn, as you mentioned earlier, that the biggest problem for Clint Trickett coming into this season was just the short amount of time he had to learn this offense. He only picked up 4 on that run. Spinning out of trouble is Sims. Charles Sims just turned nothing into something. Picked up about 4 more. It'll be 3rd down and 2.
Well, you know what would really help Trickett? Stuff like that. They got to get a rushing attack. They have to find a way to run the football because right now everything is on his shoulders and he's taking a lot of shots.
9 rushing yards total in the first half for West Virginia. They picked up 8 rushing yards on their last 2 plays, but that's 17 total for the game. And let's see what they do on 3rd down and 2. Aaron snap. Trickett trying to make something happen. And a bad shotgun snap that Trickett couldn't handle. Eventually blown up by Shamil Gary. And it's 3 downs and out for West Virginia, deep in their own end to start the second half.
Yeah, you know, sometimes the criticism of this kind of an offense is you need to be able to line up under center, turn around and give the ball to a back and pick up a couple of tough yards.
Nick O'Toole will punch from the end zone. And he gets off a pretty good kick. High wobbly spiral and a fair catch called for and made by Josh Stewart. That's a good job by Nick O'Toole from his own end zone. A 50-yard punt and no return.
That is a tremendous kick to get them out of a hole.
But still good field position at the 42-yard line for Oklahoma State. So a lot of the momentum going into the locker room at halftime for West Virginia. Rod has a chance to be flipped by the Cowboys to start the 3rd quarter. You get the mistake on special teams on the return and a 3-and-out, and now you've got the ball near midfield.
Well, and you know, Gundy was confident at halftime. He was patient. He wasn't too worked up because they have some things.
Second half underway between South Alabama and Tennessee. The Volunteers already in the red zone.
Touchdown, Tennessee. Rajon Neal from 11 yards out.
credit Alex Bullard. Watch 78 with a nice block right there. That opens the crease for Rajon Neal, and then it's just a downhill run and a sprint into the end zone. But big number 78 is the guy that gets all the credit for that touchdown run.
Boy, 7 plays, 76 yards. What an afternoon for Rajon Neal. They were hoping he'd get it together for a breakout game. How about 16 carries, 136 yards, and you can add a touchdown.
South Florida, Miami now in the second half.
Because of their speed or their size or their ability to break on a football, offensively to make big plays. Al's leadership and his commitment to what he's doing has kept those guys around and brought those guys to the U.
Bench is a good running quarterback. He got hit hard, and there's a flag on the play. Antonio Crawford came in to make the tackle.
Holding, offense, number 12, 10-yard penalty. Replay, second down.
That's Sean Price, the tight end. He's got another top 5 recruiting class, 25 commitments, 19 of those from in-state.
Tom, you mentioned Howard Schnellenberger earlier, and his philosophy going way back when was to put that picket fence all the way up to I-4 here by Orlando, have it come down to Tampa and secure everybody that's worth anything south of the border. And Al Golden, as you see in the numbers, keeping the home state of Florida guys right here.
An overthrow will leave 3rd and 19. McFarland, the nearest receiver. Willie Taggart said, you know, this is a tough offense to learn. And one of the things that makes it tough is the language and terminology used. For an example, you might get a play call that's scattered a green right 93 lead, kill 92 lead, as opposed to just a one-word call.
Yeah,
I have no idea what that meant.
It sounded good. I believed you. I'm ready to go, Tom.
3rd and 19. They're going to roll it out. And Bench completes this one to Davis, trying to make a move. Tracy Howard with the stop. When it comes to terminology, is it easier or more difficult when you've got 7 words telling everybody where to go and what the protection is, or just to remember what elephant means?
You know what? It's much more difficult.
Back to Northern Illinois and Purdue. Take a look at this. The defense stepping up big again. Looks like he stepped out of bounds, though, John.
Well, the official was right behind him.
And look down at the grass to see.
Going on the field is a touchdown.
This will be interesting because the official, you said, right on the sideline, looks down, I'm guessing, to see if there was a mark in the white.
Yeah.
Apparently didn't see anything because he let the play run. Nice play by Jimmy Ward.
If it's the 4th turnover of the day for Purdue, the first time Etling gets picked. And now waiting to see if it will cost them 7 points. Ruling on the field is an interception return for a touchdown. They'll keep the ball, but will they have to go back out? Looks like, what, the 36-yard line maybe is when he made that cut. Still some lessons to be learned for the freshman. You can see how upset he is at himself for that throw.
And things move quicker in games.
After further review, the ruling on the field stands. Touchdown.
Nice play by Jimmy Ward, the all-MAC safety. Looked like a corner on that.
We hope you enjoy the fast action coverage from the Goal Line Network. We will continue to provide this service every Saturday throughout the college football season. That's going to do it for the ESPN3 halftime report presented by Capital One. I'm Prim Saripapat. Enjoy the second half.
Here's to being one of one. A true one of a kind.
Who's been known with his Southern background. He's actually, everybody just calls you biased. I don't think you're biased at all. Although I still don't think you like Clemson a lot. You went even up. So it's very close.
3-3.
And now Ted Miller, the Pac-12 blogger, can get mad about the execution of that.
He'd get mad at Trevor.
You get mad at me, yeah, because I have some sort of bias, I guess.
College Game Day on ESPN Radio, built by the Home Depot. We mentioned it earlier, upset special in the Big 12. Let's go back to Morgantown.
Number 11, Oklahoma State at West Virginia.
Okay, it was 24-14 at the half. We mentioned good field position there for the Cowboys, and they go into the end zone. 4 plays, 58 yards, now 24-21. And anytime you're watching the better team mess around in the first half, the expectation is now they're going to roll. Is that what you're seeing?
It's just really the same thing with the South Carolina game and the Oklahoma State game. You had the favorite on the road, down 10 at the half, come out, and they immediately answer with a touchdown to start the second half. Yeah, you're right. It feels like momentum is switched, but let's see. Let's see if they can immediately get
at halftime at Heinz Field. Gorgeous day in the Steel City for this Coastal Division contest between Virginia and Pittsburgh. With Brian Stan, West Durham, Jen Hildreth will join us in just a moment. It's a 14-0 ball game, and yet really neither offense could find any momentum in this first half.
No, certainly. You know, Pittsburgh moved the ball well in the first quarter, but then there's some adjustments made by John Tenuta and his defense at Virginia. Started really getting some good pressure on the quarterback, stuff in the run, and Pitt did nothing offensively in the second quarter.
Interesting, too, because as we get to these highlights, the 2 miscues just haunt Virginia.
Oh, huge. And these were very controllable miscues. You know, fumble, a punt return there leads to an easy Pitt score by Connor, their freshman. Now you're fumbling a snap. 2 really costly mental errors. That turns right into a Devin Street touchdown. Tom Savage puts it on the money. So Pittsburgh's offense only had to go 20 yards each time they had to score. But then Virginia really turned up the heat and kept their team in the ballgame with their defense. They're getting great pressure with their front 4 and really mixing up the blitz package. And surprisingly, they're doing okay in these man-to-man coverages. There you see a great interception by Nichols there. Doing better man-to-man coverage than we thought they would against these big Pittsburgh wide receivers.
Tom Savage sacked 3 times in the first half. You see Virginia just very few yards of passing. Kevin Parks and David Watford have really been the running stars for Mike London's team, who had the ball longer than Pitt, but still trailed at the break as Jen catches up with Mike London of Virginia.
Coach, some self-inflicted wounds there in the first half. How did you handle those with your team?
Well, I mean, you got to look at it for what it is. I mean, I said field position was going to be critical for us in this game. And we didn't do a good job making decisions on some punt returns. We turned the ball over in the red zone with a drop snap. So I tell you what, defensively, we're playing well. You know, the sudden changes have gotten us for those touchdowns, but we got to play much better. And I just challenge the guys to listen. You know, you look at the statistics are about even, but we got to score points. So it's our turn to score points here on offense.
Thank you, Coach.
And Virginia will get the ball to start the second half of play. And David Watford shaken up late in that first half. It's ready to go here in half number 2 for the Cavaliers. Tom Savage, not a textbook first half, but he kind of stuck with it, despite being really pressured by Virginia in quarter 2. Chris Blewett will kick it away. Jennings and Dominique Terrell deep for Virginia. And Darius Jennings around the goal line. Jennings to the 20 and to about the 26-yard line before the Panthers got around him, and Titus Howard made the stop, but Matt House's unit's been pretty good too, particularly Aaron Donald.
They certainly have. We talked a lot about Virginia's defense, but neither offense has moved the ball well. Pittsburgh has been very physical up front, and that big defensive line absorbing a ton of blockers, getting a lot of pressure on the quarterback, but allowing this defense to really play fast, which is Matt House's most important piece for this defense.
Here's the toss, and Parks on first down for a couple of yards. Tackle made by Tyrone Ezel. Jen and David Watford back out there for Virginia.
Yeah, and you mentioned that big hit he took just before the half. I was watching him coming back out on the field, Wes, and not only did he jog out just like everybody else, but he led the team out here on the field at the start of the second half. He was right in the middle of the huddle before they came out of the tunnel, so it looks like he's charged up and ready to go.
Watford 3 of 9 passing. 34 yards in the first half. Second down. And it goes back across his body, in and out of the hands of the intended receiver, Tim Smith, the redshirt senior. And Dennis Hennigan and his crew have a flag here.
Personal foul, chop block number 25, offense. 15-yard penalty, second down.
Kevin Parks. Wow, okay. You don't see that combination on that call much, but Morgan Moses is engaged up top, and Parks goes low.
Can't go high and low, and that's a big piece when you got a defense that's getting pressure on the quarterback and blitzing some guys. The running backs have to get involved in pass protection, and Parks just makes a bad decision there. Moses got his hands on him. You cannot go low when the defender's already engaged up high.
And when you don't, I say you don't see that combination, you don't see those two combining on the chop block. The running back and an offensive lineman. Usually it's guard tackle, guard center, what have you.
Very rare, exactly.
And Parks out of the backfield with a swing pass from Watford, and well played by Kewan Williams. Williams, pretty good player at corner. Brian, I've been impressed with his ability to play the run along with the pass here today.
He certainly has. You get a lot of corners that are strictly cover corners. They're really good in coverage. But Kewan Williams, he's not afraid to get a little dirty out there. He's come up and made some big tackles in space. So important in today's game where it's a more spread offensive game in college football where guys want to get their athletes the ball in space. You've got to have corners that can make a tackle, and Kewan Williams is that kind of guy.
Virginia just 2 of their first 9 today on third down. This is third very long for Watford. Being flushed out of that pocket. And he'll go out of bounds back around the 10-yard line. Aaron Donald had broken free. Likewise, Pam Bradley, the redshirt freshman at linebacker. And Watford saw some strong coverage downfield by the Panthers on defense as well.
He did, and the surprising thing here is Pitt's defense only rushes 3. They do a stunt with 3 down linemen, and Aaron Donald is just that good that he continues to ruin the day for David Watford.
So Virginia goes 3 and out, second time today for the Cavaliers. And Pezenalik averaged 46 yards on 4 punts in the opening half, and Weatherspoon signals for and makes the fair catch for the Panthers at the 42-yard line. So that's where Tom Savage and Pittsburgh go to work.
Tom Savage, when given the time, has been very sharp today. We talked about his arm strength, talked about his accuracy, how he's had touch. When he's under pressure, though, he has not had the time. We'll see if Pitt's going to go to some quicker pass plays now in the second half, because really all those highlights were in the first quarter. The second quarter, Savage didn't have time to get those deeper routes downfield.
30 yards, his longest pass, 86 total on 7 completions. And the freshman Connor starts out as the lone setback. First down, this is Tyler Boyd. And he'll muscle out 4 or 5 yards. Before Virginia is able to make the play. Maurice Kennedy, one of the corners over there. Tyler Boyd is a welcome arrival, 6'2", 185-pound freshman. Brian told you, outstanding prep program, Clareton, Pennsylvania. There are a handful of Clareton guys on this roster. There are a lot of Pennsylvanians on this roster, and everybody knows the long tradition of high school football in this state, particularly here in western Pennsylvania. And I think that's been a buoy to Paul Christ in his rebuilding job here. And there's Isaac Bennett for a couple of yards before Coley makes the stop. I mean, Brian, you played high school ball in the state of Pennsylvania. It is a major event in most of these towns.
It really is. This is a great place to grow up and play high school football. I come from the northeast part of the state. We were always kind of jealous of all the attention the football players, high school guys get from around this Pittsburgh area. But you know what? They deserve it. I mean, not only do they play well at the high school level, there's a lot of NFL Hall of Famers from this area.
Yep. Savage now into the gun here on third down. And this is Boyd. First down play for Pittsburgh. Boyd fumbled the ball, and Virginia's on it. What a play by Anthony Harris, the safety, to punch it loose from Tyler Boyd as he was trying to gain some extra yardage there.
And rack up another highlight for Anthony Harris is real. The junior strong safety from Virginia. He is their playmaker there. I love the play design by Pittsburgh. They picked up a great blitz. They gave Savage time, and they get Boyd the ball in space. It's his first freshman-type air. He just tries to do too much, and look how far away from his body he's keeping that football.
Boy, what a heady play by Harris, and then Snyder falls on it, the defensive end, and Virginia gets pretty good field position out of this. Cavaliers at their 42-yard line here for possession number 2, still trailing 14-0.
Huge opportunity for Virginia. This offense has got to find some momentum and get consistent.
Watford faked the handoff and throws offline, intended for the far side, Dominique Terrell. He had 4 catches last week against VMI. Watford is now 3 of 10 for just 34 yards.
Well, an interesting note, when we talk about the wide receivers for Virginia, both Darius Jennings and Dominique Terrell were actually quarterbacks coming out of high school, so they had to learn to play the position of wide receiver in the college game, and they're not exactly big targets. Both of them are 5'11", 175, and 170.
Well, they bring E.J. Scott into the ball game now with Jennings here to the near side. Push senior redshirt Tim Smith to the top of the screen. And Watford dials Parks, and he'll make the catch in front of Galambos, the linebacker, and pick up about half the distance to the first down.
Well, a nice decision there from Watford. He hasn't had much success really with any of his downfield throws. His accuracy's been a little off. He likes to check it down and throw to the backs and at least get himself in a manageable third down situation here.
Yep. So the Cavaliers, who haven't had a lot of success on third down today, just 2 out of 10. Third down and 5 here for Virginia. Watford firing deep down the field for Jennings and overthrown incomplete. Lafayette Pitts and Finnepal in coverage for Pittsburgh.
Now, it's unfortunate he had his tight end, Jake McGee, was open in the middle of the field. Really tough in a too-deep zone to cover that tight end in the deep middle. And Watford just didn't see him. He had time. They picked up and finally gave him good time to throw the football.
Number 3 and out for the Cavaliers here, Brian, in this second half.
Another huge lost opportunity after a turnover for Virginia's offense.
Weatherspoon waits on the punt and will signal for the fair catch, and then Virginia, Rio Walker can't come up with it before it gets into the end zone.
Pretty nice play there by Weatherspoon, who actually faked. He made it look like he was going to fair catch it and just jolted out of there.
Stands as a 53-yard punt. 14-0 Pittsburgh at Heinz Field.
Coors Light game break. We'll head down to Coral Gables, Florida, where it's all Canes. Ryan Williams, you'll see here with the touchdown pass. This is a 11-yarder, second of the day for Coley. But the story is here, Wes and Brian, is that Stephen Morris had to leave the game. He re-aggravated that ankle injury. Be interested to see how his week goes progressing, getting ready for Georgia Tech.
Odds are exactly right. Al Golden needs Morris. And Miami next Saturday afternoon against Georgia Tech at Sun Life Stadium. Big Coastal game. We got a good Coastal game here, 14-0. Been an interesting game in that neither offense has really been able to get any kind of momentum here at all.
I'll tell you, Wes, I can't figure out if Pitt's defense has gotten that much better in a week or if UVA's offense is just that bad.
190 yards between the two teams here so far. Savage on a bootleg throw and running out of room because Jake Snyder was bearing down on him, the redshirt senior defensive end. So Tom Savage fires incomplete. He does have a touchdown in the first half to Devin Street, but he's just 9 of 21 for 96 yards today.
Well, you know, this is still, even though we talk a lot about Savage and the weapons he's at wide receiver, this is still a run-first offense, and they have not had the success they like to have running the football. Their pass game's based on a lot of play action.
Only 14 rushing yards for Pittsburgh on 20 carries as Ibrahim goes there on the carry.
Yeah, it's hard to fool anybody on play action pass when you're not running the ball effectively and you're not running the ball that often.
Ibrahim into the ball game for the Panthers. A freshman from Rockville, Maryland. 3rd down and 7. Savage firing for Boyd and picked on the backside. Anthony Harris comes up with the interception, his 2nd of the year.
There's been several times we've talked about Anthony Harris, number 8, the strong safety for Virginia. He makes a great read, does a really nice job in his 2-deep coverage, dropping to get that interception. Savage really thought he had the opening look at Harris here. Makes a great break on the football. You can see he's got his eyes on the quarterback. Huge play. Again, another turnover created by this Virginia defense, which was one of the keys we talked about for them to win this football game. They have got to get pressure on the quarterback, create those turnovers. They've done that, and they're giving this offense every chance they can to put some points on the board.
Harris had Virginia's only interception of the year. They've had 2 here today. Watford's pass batted away at the line, intended for Darius Jennings. 5 now total turnovers in the ball game. Pittsburgh has run 7 plays and has a fumble and an interception here in half number 2.
And Virginia's turnovers were early in the first quarter. They've since controlled the ball better, but we're starting to see some of the mistakes that cost Pittsburgh late in the game against Duke last week, where they had a very comfortable lead and Duke almost closed the game on them and stole a victory.
The true freshman Daniel Ham in the backfield with Watford. And they'll throw back across and dropped. And that was Jennings. Boy, that will make your hair grow gray if you're Mike London. Because Darius Jennings would have been open for the first down at the 30-yard line, and now all of a sudden it's 3rd and the full 10 here for Virginia. Cavaliers came in 12th in the ACC and 104 nationally at just 170 yards of passing per game. Watford is 4 of 14 for 39 here today. Parks open out of the backfield. And picks up 3 yards. Greeted first by Bradley, and then Williams, another good play from his corner spot. Takes down Kevin Parks. And Virginia will punt here.
And again, their offense had an opportunity. Darius Jennings has got to come up with that catch. Watford made a nice throw on the run, put it on the money. And his playmakers failed to help get an opportunity to move the chains and get into field goal position. Now they're going to get nothing again.
Yep. And Pazelik's punt is pushed out of bounds. You know, they started at the Pitt 39 and got nothing from it. Frustrating day continues for the guys in the orange helmets here at Pittsburgh. 14-0 Pitt. ACC College Football Saturday is brought to you by the official corporate champions of the ACC, by BB&T, by Food Line, by Geico, and by Toyota. Oh, gorgeous day here in Pittsburgh as we look down the Duquesne Incline off of Mount Washington, originally constructed to take coal workers off the mountain down to the mill. Back in 1854, opened to the public in 1877, cost us $47 grand to build. Imagine what they cost today. Here's the first down give as Pittsburgh tries to get going with James Conner. What a play a moment ago on this last Virginia defensive effort by Anthony Harris, Brian. Just covers a tremendous amount of ground, right?
He does, and they're going to blitz off the edge, and they get the protection, but Harris makes a nice drop back here. Look at all the open space, but the break on the ball because he's reading the eyes of the quarterback. Tom Savage is used to having a strong enough arm to beat your coverage, but Anthony Harris makes a gorgeous read, and it all really started with his nice drop, having deep half responsibility, and a great break on the ball.
Here's Savage now, 2nd and 9. Virginia shutting down the run game, going to take the deep shot. Here's Tyler Boyd with Nicholson. He held on. What a great catch by Boyd. Wow. Nicholson's pretty good, and Boyd has just had 3 great highlight catches here today.
You know, you talk about the catch from Boyd, but we also talk about how Savage can throw you open. This is great coverage. There's not many places you can throw that ball where Boyd is going to come up with it, but that's one of them, and that is a huge catch by a freshman.
The previous play is a completed pass. The play is under further review.
Dennis Hennigan is going to have a look here. This is a 37-yard catch to Tyler Boyd if it stands.
Got possession, foot's down. Doesn't look like there's anything there that's going to overturn that call. Another huge play by the freshman.
Well, your point, Nicholson's got really good coverage here.
He's on him. He's on him, and we talked about Savage's ability. You know, that's what coaches mean when they say he can throw you open. That's throwing a guy open. There's only one spot you can put that football where Boyd is going to have an uncontested chance to catch it. Uncontested, so Nichols has no chance of getting a hand on it, jumping up to stop it, and Savage put it on the money.
After further review, the ruling on the field is confirmed.
So the catch will stand 37 yards to Tyler Boyd. And Boyd now, who's had 100+ in 2 straight games, is starting to pick it up a little bit.
And they've got him and Street at the top of the screen now. They love to run these nice dual combination routes right here. Keep an eye on those two if they throw the football.
7 catches, 123 straight 100-yard gains, and overthrown is Vanessa Gardner. Oh, Pittsburgh missed an open window there, Jen.
They did. Just an observation from the sideline here, Wes. I watched closely when they came off the field after that last interception, and I can tell you that Tom Savage showed no frustration. I think that was pretty evident. He's still pretty confident, but a guy who was frustrated was Devin Street. I don't remember the last time he's got the ball, guys, but he was walking around talking to everybody. I think he's making a case for himself to try to get one soon.
Well, any good quarterback with great receivers will tell you, you got to be a politician. They'll love all and serve all. Here's Savage, pocket giving away. He'll be sacked for a 4th time today. And David Dean, 55, the first Virginia player to get there, but boy, he had some help coming too.
He certainly did. You know, Virginia's up front. Their defensive line has done a nice job of really being unpredictable, running different stunts. And Tenuto continues to bring more than Pittsburgh has to block. And a big play there made by Virginia.
Vallis, the linebacker, joined the front that time. And now Cavaliers have got Pittsburgh playing behind the stakes, Jen.
Well, I'm just going to tell you guys, I just found out last time Street touched the ball, first quarter.
Timeout, Pittsburgh, and it's their first timeout of the half.
Well, 3rd and very long here for the Panthers. So Paul Christ wants to get everybody up to speed here. Not happy as the 2nd-year leader of Pittsburgh. Football Saturday is brought to you by the official corporate champions of the ACC, by AT&T, by Ruby Tuesday, and by Haviland. The Heinz Memorial Chapel on the University of Pittsburgh campus, designed by Charles Clowder, who also designed the other campus landmark, the Cathedral of Learning. The chapel was a gift of the Heinz Company founder, Henry John Heinz, to honor his mother. And, Of course, Hines is a familiar name, not only on campus at Pitt, but in the venue we join you from here today with our ACC College Football Saturday cameras as Pittsburgh leads Virginia 14-0 in a big third down play. And dropped. Coming out of the backfield, Scott Orndoff, the freshman tight end from Waynesburg, Pennsylvania, cannot hang on, and Pittsburgh will have to punt here.
This an opportunity for Orndoff to get his first catch that's not a touchdown this season. They normally like to go to him in goal line scenarios.
So Savage now 9 of 25 in the ball game for 133 and the touchdown to Devon Street. Terrell waits on the punt. And he'll wave it off here as it rolls inside the 10-yard line of Virginia. 48-yard punt. Here in the third period, our cold hard facts presented by Coors Light. Last Saturday, 5 ACC teams scored 50 or more points. First time in conference history. So the 50-plus club, Pittsburgh was there with 58. Oh, yeah. Forgot. Miami hung double sevens on Savannah State. Wow. Duke had 55 and took the L. Florida State had 54. And we saw Syracuse get 52 on Tulane.
Huge improvements from Syracuse last week.
Virginia plays offense 10. Watford flushed out of the pocket again. And might have gotten back to the line. Nope, did not. Lost a couple. Ezel and Shakir Soto chased David Watford out. Hall Chris, the former longtime assistant at Wisconsin. From 2005 to 2011, he was there. Brett Bielema's tenure, worked with Russell Wilson, of course. Ironically, Wilson's previous college coach on the Virginia sideline today with Tom O'Brien. Here's Watford, pressured, misses Parks again. A screen pass, and he'll get 3, maybe 4 yards out to the 12. It'll be third and about 8. Venepal makes the stop for Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I love the play call there for Virginia. You've got a struggling quarterback. They're getting tons of pressure on the quarterback, so let's go to a screen game. The problem is that Pitt's defense stays disciplined and they read it.
I don't know if Matt House, the defensive coordinator of Pitt's, gotten it all ironed out, Brian, but I'd say a good bit of it smoothed out from the play last week in Durham against Duke.
Oh, certainly, especially with as much as the Virginia offense throws at you formation-wise. And just look, they've got a bunch of different styles wrapped into this, what they call pro-style offense.
Watford will throw it out of bounds, and he was straight back in the pocket. Aaron Donald was pressuring it, but he threw it beyond the line of scrimmage, so no marker on the play from Dennis Hennigan. And Virginia's just 2 of 13 on third down.
Well, anything beyond a 3-step drop, Watford's had 0 time to throw the football. They've had no success getting any pass plays downfield. He's had limited success in the short passes.
4 straight 3-and-outs for Virginia here in the second half.
And you got to wonder what kind of toll that's going to take on their defense, being on the field as much as they have. Where Pitt's not scoring, but Pitt is at least sustaining some drives to some first down.
Bozenilik, a huge punt. Weatherspoon gets away from it. It'll roll inside the 10 to the 9. That is a huge punt.
Big change of field position. At least the special teams is doing some favors for Virginia's defense, because their offense certainly is not.
77 yards on the field. Roll for him.
Virginia's had some breaks in this second half. Pitt's turned the football over. Now a big special teams play. They have not found a way to move the ball whatsoever on offense.
That is, Brian, that's, by the way, the longest punt of Bozenilik's career. His previous had been 57 a year ago at Virginia Tech. His longest this year had been 53 against Oregon.
He found himself of late.
Well, he certainly has. He's always had a big, strong arm, John. He's in offense now where he's got a little bit of continuity that's taking advantage of his ability to get the ball down the field.
It's a rough day to be an offensive lineman on either side of the ball. I was just walking behind the Pitt bench, and, man, those O-linemen got blown up, not only by their offensive line coach, Jim Huber, but Paul Chryst came over and said, somebody's got to step up and do their job. You're not doing it well enough so far.
Second down and 7. Savage to throw. And bounce short, intended for Devin Street. Virginia just mentioned a moment ago, Street hadn't caught a ball since the first quarter. And that one was underthrown to the 6'4" redshirt senior.
It was underthrown, and that was because of the pressure from the defensive line of Virginia. But again, it was a catchable ball. And don't forget, Devin Street had a drop pass. He had to go up to get it, but he got both hands on it in the second quarter. So that's his second drop, and that could certainly be playing into his frustration.
Third down and 3. 3 receivers in the set. Savage to throw. Downfield, offline for Boyd. Thrown behind Tyler Boyd, so Savage now is 10 of 27 in the ball game. And Pittsburgh goes 3 and out.
Well, that was just a big miscommunication between Boyd and Savage immediately looked at him. It looked like Boyd may have ran the wrong route. But interesting, when you get a Paul Chryst team, which is a run-first offense in 3rd and 3, and they're choosing to throw the ball 9 times out of 10 in this game, they just had very little success running the ball against this Virginia defense.
Punt toward Terrell. Signals 4. And it kicks out of bounds. He signaled for the fair catch. He jumped out of bounds into the Virginia benches. Virginia takes over here, Jen.
Well, every week we like to ask our fans on Twitter, what should our crew do? I'm kind of thinking I might go get a Primanti Brothers sandwich right now, but that's not what we did here in Pittsburgh this week. You know, everybody loves to see Brian in his other action. Well, his former job, right, Brian? We went to a gym here. They asked us to come out and train with them, and we did it. Well, Brian did most of it. Wes and I tried to stay out of the way as best we could, although I think I did get a few good kicks in there, right? I mean, that's just to make sure you guys didn't forget I was down here. But big thanks to those guys at Stout Training and Renzo Gracie Pittsburgh. We had some fun, didn't we, boys? And we survived.
We certainly did. Look, I promised you guys I would turn you into ninjas by the end of this season. I'm trying to live up to that promise.
Yeah. Well, let's just say that they got a lot more out of it than Jen and I did, although, you know, Jen put on, oh, no, wait a second, see, none of us have done this, though, right? Still available on newsstands here toward the end of the month, folks. Days are running out in September for the cover of Muscle and Fitness here.
You guys never let me down or miss a chance to embarrass me. Thank you so much. Just remember, after the game, I can hit you.
We had a lot of fun yesterday in Pittsburgh. Don't forget, use the hashtag ACC All Access for what the crew should do. Next week, we return to Winston-Salem. Ball caught as Virginia gets going with Adrian Gamble, the sophomore from Charlotte. Use the hashtag on Twitter, ACC All Access, what our crew should do in Winston-Salem. We were there a couple of weeks ago and visited the good folks at Krispy Kreme Donuts. We'll find out maybe next Saturday something new.
Yeah, hopefully Winston-Salem gives us something other than that. You can't keep that physique that I like to have in that magazine by going to Krispy Kreme too many times.
Cavaliers into plus territory now. The catch by Gamble. One of Watford's better throws of the day. And here's the reverse. And this is Terrell breaking free. Dominique Terrell inside the 20. And brought down about the 16-yard line by Anthony Gonzalez. So all of a sudden, guys, Virginia's got some tangible offensive momentum here.
Well, I love the play call by Fairchild. Look, there's nobody in space, and he gets a fantastic block here from Jake McGee. Hits the seam. And Steve Fairchild's really starting to open up the playbook now. He realizes they're going to have limited opportunities to score in this football game. They've missed so many. They've got to come out here with a touchdown.
Virginia started off their 47. Watford tries to loop it for Parks. Overthrown incomplete. And so the Cavaliers will have second down in the full 10.
And a name we haven't called much, Anthony Gonzalez, who made a lot of plays against Duke last week, had nice pressure on the quarterback there. I think Watford had a chance. He could have made that throw. Kevin Parks had some room to run. Watford just had to throw it off his back foot again, trying to run out of the pocket. He got pressure.
Gonzalez has had some pretty good production. The Panthers play without the starting linebacker on the middle side, Shane Gordon, who's out today. Matt Galambos, a freshman, in his stead. And Parks gets swallowed up by Galambos there. Right on cue with Ewan Price, the defensive end. I've been impressed with Matt House's defensive unit. Brian, because I wasn't sure what we would see given their effort last Saturday in Durham.
Certainly. And they've made some tremendous gains. And in Durham against Duke, they struggled against the zone run play and the zone option with the quarterback running the football as well. Today they've done a nice job of getting a line, playing their gap responsibility, but also fighting off blocks.
Virginia just 2 of 13 on third down. Watford on third and long, overthrows McGee, incomplete. The redshirt junior from Richmond, who wears the same 83 that Heath Miller made famous in Charlottesville at tight end. And Miller now, his professional work is right here at Heinz Field on Sunday with the Steelers.
And this is just a forced throw. We've seen this a couple times out of Watford this season where he's forced throws to guys that are covered. They gave him a nice pocket to throw the football, and he had singled up coverage on the edges and decided to go to the middle where the tight end was double covered.
Fry's longest field goal of the year, 53 against BYU in the opener. This is 32. And the kick by Ian Fry is good. So Virginia is on the board here with 1:23 to play in the third. On the 32-yard field goal by Ian Fry. And so it's an 11-point lead for Pittsburgh. Next Saturday, a double dip of ACC College Football Saturday. That guy, Jawan Edwards, and Ball State go to Charlottesville. Brian, Jen, and myself will be in Winston-Salem. Atlantic Division battle between North Carolina State in Wake Forest. 12:30 is the start time. Ron Thulin, Obi Mahaley. They'll be in Charlottesville for the Cavaliers. And then 3:30 the start time. Wake Forest, NC State on ACC College Football Saturday. Ball State under Pete Limbo 3-1 playing Toledo today. And then you see how the rest of Virginia's schedule falls out there, Brian.
Certainly do. They're going to get in the meat of that ACC schedule. And they're going to have some tough visits here, you know, going at Maryland. Maryland is a much improved football team. Georgia Tech, then Clemson, North Carolina, Miami, Virginia Tech. That's a tough stretch right there. Virginia really wants to get out of today with a victory and really wanted to see some improvement and consistency out of their offense. That was huge for them coming into this football game for Steve Fairchild, and he just has not gotten that today.
Yep. So the Cavaliers bring Dylan Sims to handle the kickoffs. Garner and Lafayette Pitts deep to return for Pittsburgh. 14-3 the score.
It'll be interesting to see if Pitt's offense starts to run the football a little bit more, try to run out some clock. They've been throw heavy since the first quarter.
And the kick will skip through the end zone. And Pitt will play from its 25. And Tyler Boyd's been as good as advertised today.
Well, he's taking advantage of all the opportunities you're going to get when you play opposite Devon Street. That means you're going to get the lesser part of the coverage, and just been so impressed with his concentration on the deep ball, his awareness, getting that first down, keeping 1 foot in bounds. This is a true playmaker. You're not going to see many freshmen come right out of high school and play at this level. He's tall, he's fast, he's got quickness, he's got really good hands, but he's also a student of the game. He wants to know, how do I get open in this coverage, that coverage? How do I run this route better?
7 catches, 111 is his third straight 100-yard game. He had 8 for 154 and 3 scores last week in Durham. Savage to throw, pressure coming, and sack number 5 to be posted by Virginia. Savage loses 10. Vallis, the linebacker, boy, for a rookie, is off to a great start today. He was the first Virginia player there.
Well, John Tenuta talked about Vallis and how well he can run and move, and here he is just coming off the edge again. He is so fast. It's rare you see a guy who's 6'5" that's that quick off the line of scrimmage. Normally, they're more of a long stride style runner. This kid is fast off the football.
Well, and given how much attention Pitt's got to pay to that front of Virginia, Vallis has been able to break free a couple times. 2 tackles behind the line today for the freshman Vallis. Savage to throw on second and very long. Forced up in the pocket. He'll run with it. Flag thrown behind the play. He'll slide down at the 30, and boy, as he started to slide, Savage took a shot from Daquan Romero. And Savage is a little woozy.
Well, the flag was thrown in what looks to be holding territory, but
holding, offense number 57, 10-yard penalty. Repeat the down.
Artie Rowell, the center for the Panthers.
You can see the hold there by the center, but this comes very close to being a defenseless player. He's just getting into his slide, and you know, that's tough. That's a tough situation for Daquan Romero to all of a sudden pull up and stop his momentum, because he hit Savage just after he started sliding. I think, I'm a defensive player, so I think it's a good no call, but some people may argue with it.
It is right on the line in what we have determined might be targeted. And another flag thrown.
False start, offense number 74. Penalty is half the distance to the goal. Second down.
Brian, very few times in football do you see two defensive units dictate a game. We've seen that for the better part of this afternoon.
We certainly have. We're getting a look at two really solid defensive lines. Very impressed with the play. These guys up front for both of these defenses absorb so many blockers that they allow their linebackers to play very fast.
Well, Tom Savage probably could use the quarter break here at Heinz Field. Virginia and Pittsburgh are trading licks here today. Field and ACC College Football Saturday, presented by Frost Brewed Coors Light, the world's most refreshing beer. Pittsburgh 14, Virginia 3, 0 rushing yards today for the Panthers. And they've had 25 rushing attempts. The turnovers have really been the story here today. 2 in the first half for Virginia, both cashed in for touchdowns. And Pittsburgh has survived their 2 turnovers here in this second half. Here is Savage out of the backfield. Ibrahim near the 20 and knocked out of bounds. Oh, can be speed. Squirting back into play at the 20-21-yard line, but Vallis finally made the play downfield with Harris. 17-yard play.
Now, Eli Harold gets good pressure on the quarterback here, but with all the pressure Virginia's bringing, it makes for great opportunities to throw a screen. I like the play call. Get yourself out of being backed up in your own end zone. You don't want to punt from there. And we'll see if Savage can pick up a long third, what looks to be 3rd and 14.
Another 3 and out for Pitt. That is 5. You throw in the turnover and the interception. That's 6 3 and outs. Here's a 3rd and long. What a catch by Street. And Savage took a huge shot as he cut it loose to Devin Street into Virginia territory to convert the 3rd down.
With Savage hung tough in the pocket here. He sees Streets open, throws it. That's a huge hit right to the chest. I like the move here from Devin Street. Finds the football. Devin Street was frustrated, but he made a play there. Because of the pressure, the ball was a little underthrown, but Devin Street does a nice job attacking the football and getting the catch.
32-yard play. They're going to try and run it with Connor. Nothing. Back to the line of scrimmage. Can't say enough about Virginia's front 7 against the Pitt run game here today, Brian.
No, I mean, really where this defense has gotten beat has been big plays. It's been big passes downfield are the only holes. When Savage has had the time for the longer plays to develop and throw it downfield, that's when they've moved the football. Other than that, Pitt has not done much.
He might still be checking a little bit of change in his pocket here, too, after some of the hits he's taken. 2-by-1 look here for Pittsburgh on 2nd and 10. Savage in the gun. Cavaliers coming again. Eli Harold, first guy there, and they drop it. Urban helps out. But 7, Eli Harold was the guy that got to Tom Savage first for Virginia.
Well, number 69, Adam Bisnowaty, the redshirt freshman for Pitt's offensive line. Left tackle being that young. He's played well this season, but he has struggled against this Virginia defense. Eli Harold has taken advantage of him a few times, and you can see Max Vallis has taken advantage of him, number 88 for Virginia's defense as well. And Bisnowaty is looking more like a freshman this week against Virginia's defense.
Savage again. This is 3rd and very long. 19 for the first down. Cavaliers coming again. And a crossing route. Caught by Weatherspoon, but well short of the first down. First catch of the day for Kevin Weatherspoon out of Clarington, Pennsylvania.
And a question coming in was, how would Virginia deal with man-to-man coverage against these Pitt wide receivers? Well, they're getting such good pressure on Savage instantly. He has no time to take advantage of man-to-man coverage.
So on 4th down, John Tenuta's defense does it again. And the veteran defensive coordinator, now in his first year at his alma mater at Virginia, has sacked Savage 6 times and hurried him countless other times here today.
Not to mention holding him 0 yards rushing. That's an incredible statistic, considering the rushing attack Pitt has.
Punt was offline, and Virginia's going to get possession right in the neighborhood of its 20-yard line. So the Panthers continue to lead by 11. The Duck is in town in Pittsburgh. A big party last night downtown. 14-3 Panthers.
Atlanta, our ACC college football studios. Miami well on its way to another win. This time, Dallas Crawford fights his way into the end zone for the touchdown. They're going to be 4-0. That's the first time in 9 years Miami's improved to 4-0. Of course, Georgia Tech, the big opponent next week. Back to you, fellas.
All right, Hans, thanks very much. So Miami on the way to beating South Florida. Meanwhile, rough day in the other non-conference game at this hour. East Carolina, North Carolina. Chapel Hill, where the Pirates have a big lead, and lots of offense for Ruffin McNeil's group today at Kenan Stadium. Watford first down on play action. Aaron Donald, and he fumbled the ball. But Watford got back on it at the 10. Boy, have we seen some good defensive line play here today.
We really have. You can't block these guys one-on-one. You've got to get a double team, but they are splitting double teams, getting pressure, and Donald is just so strong. He literally runs through that block, strips the ball, and luckily for Watford, he falls right on it.
Third sack of Watford today. Mateo, the center, redshirt freshman, having a hard time with a senior in Donald. Just like we were talking about Bisnawati with Eli Harold a moment ago when Pittsburgh had the ball.
Certainly, and Pittsburgh's done a nice job of moving Aaron Donald around where he rushes from as well.
Looping out to Parks, and boy, took a big hit, and the flag comes down as the tackle made by Grigsby.
Illegal block in the back. Number 2 offense. Penalty is half the distance to the goal. Second down.
Dominique Terrell call for the penalty.
Well, and we talked about the pressure from this front four. They've had it on Watford all day. Rarely has he had an opportunity to sit in a pocket, set his feet, and throw the ball downfield. He has not been able to take a 3-step drop, let alone a 5-step drop. And Aaron Donald is a big part of it. They've done a nice job moving him around. Sometimes he's rushing from the defensive tackle position. Other times they have him out on the edge rushing as well.
Second down and now 25 for Virginia. Or 23, beg your pardon. And off the hands of Jennings, and could have been a pick for Lafayette Pitts. Wow.
Looked like it was off the hands of both of those guys,
yeah.
And that's just a poor throw. And they're trying to get some yardage with a quick slant, which is usually an easy throw for a quarterback, but that just goes to show you how Watford has not been able to get comfortable in this game, and we're in the fourth quarter.
Watford is 8 of 22 for just 66 yards here today. Third down and 23. And overthrows Smith here on the near side. Pitt's defending for the Panthers. Our direct auto insurance coverage of the game. Ewan Price pulls down Watford. And the rest of the Panthers have just pressured the Cavalier quarterback the entire afternoon.
He has not had many opportunities. We talked about his completion percentage being 8 of 22, but there's been a couple drops. Even when he's had time, he's put the ball on the money. Virginia's dropped the football and failed to make plays as well.
Vazedelik, whose 77-yarder a moment ago was the 4th longest in Virginia history and their longest since 1977. Hits it sky high here, and it will jump out of bounds near the 40-yard line of the Cavaliers. So Pittsburgh leading by 11 with just better than 10 minutes to play. Will have outstanding field position when we come back to Heinz Field. game is presented by Husqvarna, the world's largest producer of outdoor power equipment. Visit Husqvarna.com. Well, the venue has changed over the years, but the rivers are still here, of course, where the three rivers meet. Heinz Field in Pittsburgh, and boy, I'll tell you, this duck now, this thing that's in town, Brian, this first appearance in the United States after huge reviews in Asia has caused all a flutter. There's your duck, Brian.
There it is. It's exciting, folks. Doesn't look much different than the rubber ducky that I put in the bathtub with my kids, but for some reason, it's exciting here.
Ball at the 42 of Virginia off the V. And here's Pittsburgh's first snap of the possession. Savage trying to get rid of it and shoot it back inside to his running back Isaac Bennett, but it's incomplete. So Pittsburgh's frustrations on offense continue now too, Jen.
Well, you know, Devin Street talked to us about being a leader yesterday, guys. I just saw that here on the sideline. He went over to his offensive line. He said, look, I know you don't want a lecture. I know you don't want one, but we need you guys. We can't win this game without you. You have got to do a better job. So now Devin Street getting in on the offensive line. Encouragement here on the Pitt sideline.
Well, then Joe Rudolph, the offensive coordinator, backed it up when talking about his great wide receiver yesterday as well. And, you know, sometimes the difference between being good and great is not something you do athletically, Mark.
It certainly is. I mean, they've had mental breakdowns in the offensive line, and, you know, I think he's really trying to get his offensive line corralled and be more focused. But Devin Street has showcased that, even going back to what he's done to help Tyler Boyd. Tyler Boyd's big success this year, and even in this football game, isn't just because he's a great athlete. I mean, he's been mentored. He looks up to Devin Street.
This is third down and long now. Savage up in the pocket, in trouble, sacked. Cavaliers get there one more time. That's Maurice Kennedy, the corner. Seventh time they've gotten to Tom Savage today. And Pittsburgh will go 3 and out.
Now, the offensive line actually picks up that blitz pretty well on that play. Savage just held onto the football a little bit long and creeps up in the pocket. And, you know, that's more of a coverage sack than anything. For once, Pitt's offensive line did a nice job of picking up a pretty complex blitz there.
Yep, Maurice Kennedy on the corner blitz. That's the thing about John Tenuta, that they come from everywhere.
There's one word describing him today, unpredictable. He has really changed things up and made some great adjustments in the second half. And what a great special teams play.
Boy, you're not kidding. Grigsby broke the plane of the end line, though, and I think they'll call it a touchback. Nicholas Grigsby with an outstanding athletic play, but once he breaks the plane of the goal line, it's a touchback. Panthers still lead by 11. 14-3 Pittsburgh leads Virginia here in the fourth quarter at Heinz Field. Both these schools' defensive units have been the story here in half number 2.
Well, on the last drive, David Watford did not look sharp. He had 2 blatant overthrown footballs. Just looks to be a frustrating day, and he's got to focus mentally.
Tries to come back to Campbell on the crossing route here. Can't hang on. The interesting part, Brian, we touched on this earlier, is the fronts, the 4-man pressures are what's, it's not necessarily blitzes, although Savage has been sacked 7 times. It's the 4-man pressures because they're backed up by really good coverages on both sides.
Exactly. Those front 4 for both teams, and that's why we haven't seen much running of the football either in the second half, because they absorb so many blockers that the linebackers run free. Both of these defensive lines have played a very good game.
Pittsburgh minus 19 yards of rushing today. That ball is dropped. That's Rob Burns, the redshirt sophomore at tight end, former defensive end.
When you've got a quarterback who's struggling, you've got to make a play and catch the ball. And Watford has put the ball on the money a few times here today. And you can see these big drops. Most of these drops are on third downs where they could have gotten a first down. And it just continues. And this does not help a quarterback who's trying to mature in this offense and get into a rhythm.
Third and the full 10 for the Cavaliers off their 20.
A lot of people are going to look at the numbers of Watford and he's going to shoulder some of the blame, but the guys around him have not helped him make any plays today.
Virginia 2 of 15 on third. Home run ball, Watford, and dropped. And a marker throw. Darius Jennings was the intended receiver. And preliminary indication is pass interference.
Pass interference, defense number 18, 15-yard penalty, first down.
Freshman corner Titus Howard, 4th penalty of the day against Pitt.
Well, initially, Titus Howard has good, solid coverage. Watford puts a lot of air under this ball. I don't know what the referee saw there. Did not look like Howard hit him before the ball came in. Interesting call. A big opportunity now for Virginia's offense.
Watford on the bootleg. Dominique Terrell the catch. Backs out of bounds at the Pitt 49-yard line. 16-yard throw to Terrell. First catch of the day for the junior from Manassas, Virginia. All Chris knows, even with an 11-point lead, that nothing is safe here.
Certainly, and Virginia's moving the ball, trying to go a little up-tempo here.
And the pass batted down. I think Ezel got a hand in the firing lane. So now, it'll be second down and a full 10 here for Virginia. The throw a moment ago, Watford's best of the day. He's now 9 of 28, 82 yards.
And the name we haven't talked about much today is Adrian Gamble. He's one of their wide receivers. He's him and Tim Smith are one of their only true wide receivers on this team.
Here is Khalid Shepard, who did not play at all last week, and his is his first carry of the day, and I believe his first snap from scrimmage for Shepard. And he picks up about 5 yards, so it'll be third and half to go for the first down for Virginia. Cavaliers had as many as 4 running backs that could have played today. We've seen now the third in Shepard. And out of the backfield, Shepard the catch and the first down. Before he's finally knocked back by Jason Hendricks. There's another name we haven't called very much either today, Brian. Hendricks came in with 25 tackles. First in the ACC and 20th nationally, averaging a half dozen solo stops a ball game.
And a nice read there from Watford. Pitt had a blitzer come in free, and he quickly threw to his hot read and got the ball to Shepard. Picks up a very important first down.
Now Watford trying to get something going with a fresh set of downs. And this is Smith. And he's knocked down after just 4 or 5 yards by Anthony Gonzalez and Hendricks. Tim Smith, by the way, redshirt senior from Chesapeake, Virginia, is the cousin of the Upton brothers who play baseball for the Atlanta Braves.
Well, and Tim Smith is he's one of the few actually recruited wide receivers on this offense. I said earlier, Darius Jennings and Dominique Terrell were actually recruited quarterbacks, converted to wide receivers.
Watford threw it behind the intended receiver, Darius Jennings there. So now 3rd down and 6 for Virginia.
Well, Virginia's going up-tempo, but Pittsburgh's defense is doing a nice job getting their different players in depending on the personnel Virginia's showing, substituting very quickly.
Are they in 4-down territory? We'll see. Here's Watford to convert 3rd down, and he overthrows McGee, the tight end. Venable, the safety, was challenging there. So now 4th down. Down 11. Virginia's missed on 2 4th-down tries today.
I don't think it matters. They've got to go for it here in this situation. And, you know, high throw for McGee, and Watford reading his body language after the throw. You can see his frustration. He's just not able to put the ball where he wants it to. And generally, when he misses a throw, it's been high today. He's overthrown his receivers.
4th down. Backside throw, caught out of bounds. Dominic Terrell, 1st down. Virginia at Pittsburgh's 21-yard line. Pretty good throw here, Brian. Strong arm.
It all starts with the protection. You get a nice block there on the blitz, and he gets the ball on the money to Terrell, but they gave Watford some time where he could set his feet and throw an accurate football. That's been a rarity for him today.
1st and 10. McGee in traffic makes a catch. Comes down with it near a 1st down. Hendricks, the safety, was right there.
Well, finally, we're getting some guys making plays for Watford. I'm not sure about the decision. Look like these 3 guys around McGee here on this throw, but he goes up and he takes the ball. And after a couple of drops, McGee finally hauls one in.
Watford will keep it. Inside the 5, he dives. Just shy of the 1st down for Virginia. They can achieve a 1st down before they score a touchdown as the Cavaliers operate in the CPI security red zone here with about 5 minutes to play. 2nd chance there today for Virginia. And Shepard tripped up by Galambos, the linebacker. And also underneath was Todd Thomas for Pittsburgh. 3rd down and 2 for Paul Christ and Pittsburgh. Cavaliers are 3 of 17 on 3rd down.
They've struggled here. They're in a territory now where they can use Watford as a dual threat. He can run and he can throw. We'll look to see what kind of play is called, but in this situation in the red zone, a lot of coaches go with that. It looks like
Virginia, that is their 1st time out of the half.
Looks like Virginia's going to take time out to discuss it.
Exactly. So the Cavaliers with 3rd and 2 in an 11-point game. Football Saturday is brought to you by Hardee's hand-breaded chicken tenderbox, by USAA, by Frost Brewed Coors Light, the world's most refreshing beer, and by Toyota. Well, the motto is almost famous since 1933. Parmati Brothers in Pittsburgh. Our director, Gary Clem, led our crew there for a pregame meal yesterday. And Gary was the driving force behind everybody, which was good. That's what you count on, good leadership by the production crew.
A huge third down here. Virginia had to burn a very important timeout.
Watford on the throw, McGee the catch. And Gonzalez makes a great play shy of the first down. So Virginia on 4th down now will go for it. Watford is 6 of 11 for 48 yards in the drive.
Tough situation. They got bunch and it's man coverage. So Gonzalez struggles to get to his man initially. I like the play call, but Watford just didn't have the arm strength to get it to him quick enough so that he could run in the end zone.
Might not be the ball game, but it's pretty darn close if Virginia doesn't get this.
You know, I don't know if I agree with the decision. If they kick a field goal, they can go down, get another touchdown, go for 2, and at least keep themselves in the game. If they don't get this here, it's over.
Watford in the gun. Throws, end zone. McGee can't come up with it. Virginia turned away on 4th down. Vinipal on that back line at 5'10", battling 6'5", Jake McGee.
Well, he's only 5'10", but McGee runs so far to the back of the end zone that he doesn't give Watford much room to put the ball. Watford had the time. I felt like he rushed this throw a little bit, but when McGee's that far deep in the end zone, he doesn't give himself a chance to really use his height. There's no room for Watford to really lay it up for him.
Paul Chris team tightens up in the red zone, and Mike London's team turned away again.
From the hunt, Virginia kicked the field goal and got 3 out of it. They could get the ball back and have to go for 2 if they score another touchdown.
Chad Wojtek has come in at quarterback, and that is Connor, the ball carrier. We have seen Tom Savage take hit after hit here today, in addition to being sacked 7 times.
That is our second timeout of the half. This will be a 30-second timeout.
And Virginia has used the timeout. They'll have 1 more remaining. This is the redshirt freshman Chad Wojtek is from Cleveland, Tennessee. He's only thrown 1 pass this year, completed it for 8 yards against New Mexico. And we'll see if we can pick up any kind of determination on where if Tom Savage is hurt or if this is just a change here late in the ballgame.
Well, I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that Virginia didn't go for 3. You know, they took themselves out of the ballgame now, needing 2 scores. Why put Savage in there when you know Virginia is going to blitz? They're going to come after you and have your star quarterback take any more hits in this football game, because Virginia needs 2 more scores to try and win the game. With only 3 minutes left.
Give the ball again. This is Connor, and he'll push the stack out across the 5. Brent Urban has made a lot of plays for Virginia today.
That is our final timeout of the half. This will be a 30-second timeout.
Our charter internet hit. Tom Savage sacked 7 times today by the Cavaliers.
Can't say enough about the adjustments this Virginia defense has made really after the first quarter, and they've shut this offense down for 3 straight quarters.
So the Cavaliers have used their last timeout here. Pittsburgh with minus 17 yards of rushing against John Tenuta. There in the white shirt. Virginia's defensive coordinator. He was with Tom O'Brien at NC State. Tenure with Charlie Weiss at Notre Dame. Chan Gailey at Georgia Tech. John Bunning at North Carolina. He goes all the way back to John Cooper at Ohio State. Forrest Gregg at SMU years ago. And here is Ibrahim to the near side and knocked out of bounds, but that's a Pittsburgh first down.
Now, Coach Christ is mad. He wants to see a late hit thrown, but that first down right there could seal the game for Pittsburgh.
Rashid Ibrahim, the big run here. Freshman from Rockville, Maryland at 185 pounds, Brian.
A huge run. Virginia blitzes, and they just get caught. They kicked out the defensive end and gave Ibrahim some room. He took it down the sidelines for a huge first down, because this is going to give Pitt the opportunity now to run off a lot of clock.
He's got the best average among the Panther runners today, 19 yards on 2 carries.
That wasn't hard to do.
And a fumble. Voitek will fall on it for Virginia. Eli Harrell pulled him to the ground, but Virginia may have missed a chance to scoop up one there.
Certainly, they need a gift at this point. 2.5 minutes to go. They need 2 scores if they want to try and win this football game, and they know they're going to get a heavy dose of the run here from Pittsburgh as these seconds continue to tick off the clock. It's got to be really frustrating for this Virginia team. This was a winnable football game for them, especially when you look at how those 14 points got on the board for Pittsburgh. Those 2 touchdowns came off of 2 huge mental errors. A fumbled snap in the shotgun by Watford, and then obviously a fumbled punt return where he shouldn't even have been near the football. He ran back towards the ball when Pitt was all around him and touched it with his foot.
Rashid Ibrahim out near another first down. And Dominique Terrell can only look on. Now we have a stoppage of play, and J.P. Holtz, the sophomore tight end from here in Pittsburgh, coming out of the ball game into the Panther bench area, and I think he come out of the ball game or not? Nope. Yes, he does come out of the ball game. As Pittsburgh on the run by Ibrahim, by the way, went back into positive yardage in the run game. Now with 7 rushing yards for the Panthers.
That's a week after they had 2 running backs go over 100 yards last week against Duke. Incredible performance by this Virginia defense. And it's tough because Virginia looked very promising.
Pittsburgh.
Well, Devin Street and Pittsburgh look like they're on the way to their 2nd win in the ACC. And Street's got our C-Max Performance Play of the Day, and it was a heck of a pass-catch combination in the first half.
Yeah, they run the wheel route with him and Tyler Boyd, get him in single coverage here, and Savage puts the ball right on the money. And you know, Devin Street's one of those guys who defines consistency both in the pass game and blocking in the run game.
4 catches, 58 yards, and a touchdown for the redshirt senior, Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, Devin Street. And the Panthers, with a win today, they pick up number 2 in the ACC, their 3rd of the year. And then a week off before they go to Virginia Tech. And then Old Dominion here at Heinz Field. Voitek on first down, and this is Rashid Ibrahim. Or Ibrahim, I should say, for maybe a step. And now it'll be 4th down. But Pittsburgh here, by going to 2 wins, Brian, here's the hook. They matched Georgia Tech with 2. Remember, Miami has yet to play their first conference game. That'll come next Saturday when Georgia Tech visits Sun Life Stadium. Virginia will go to 0-1. North Carolina winless. Duke is winless. And all of a sudden, the Coastal starts to unravel a little bit from preseason expectations and prognostications.
It certainly does, and Miami certainly hasn't looked flawless. They haven't won these games flawlessly this season. They've shown that their offense can sputter and turn the ball over at times.
That is our final timeout of the half. This will be a 30-second timeout.
Pittsburgh lined up to run a play and then let the play clock run down before they'll punch their last timeout. This ball game, quite frankly, in a capsule is about miscues early.
It really was. You know, all of Pittsburgh's touchdowns came off those miscues and fumbles by Virginia, and they capitalized on them. You know, Virginia gave them the football in the red zone. Then their defense really turned it up. And Virginia's offense, while we show this reverse, that's one of the most positive plays they've had all day. They have a field goal, and that's all they have to show on the scoreboard right now. Their offense has just struggled. Watford's been out of sync with his receivers. They've struggled to block up front against his Pitt defense. And just another very frustrating loss for Virginia here, especially after they opened up with that big win over BYU and really showed some promise in this Coastal Division.
Cavaliers went after the punt of Yaklik, and Terrell will signal for the fair catch. Just outside the Cavalier 30-yard line, and Pittsburgh on the win to the ACC, and Jamie Dixon's basketball program a little morning madness here in Heinz Field for the 10th-year head coach. And the Panthers get their season underway. Yes, that's Coach Dixon replicating Cy from Duck Dynasty. That's a good look, isn't it?
It is a good look. He really showed off some extreme ups there. He was close to the net.
Well, the Panthers start ACC play the first Saturday in January in Raleigh against North Carolina State, and they bring quite a basketball package to the ACC, just like Syracuse and to a degree Notre Dame as well. It'll be fun to have the Panthers and the crowd at the Peterson Center in the Oakland Zoo when the ACC play begins. People up here very excited about the arrival of Pittsburgh in the ACC. I don't know that I can say that for the other coaches in the league, but fans and media alike. And that'll be the final play of the ball game. Pittsburgh, as the clock expires, has won for the second straight time in the ACC. And they've now won 3 straight. The Panthers jump to an early 14-0 lead in the first quarter, Brian, and make it stand.
They certainly do, and they played against one of the better defenses you're going to see in the ACC. John Tenuta has got just so much depth of knowledge. Not a surprise to see his defense perform so well. And, you know, Pitt is off to a great start in the ACC this year.
They'll get a week off before they head to Blacksburg to meet Virginia Tech. Paul Christa winner, and he's with Jim.
Well, Coach, you went from an offensive explosion last week to a defensive struggle this week. Do you have a feel for where this team is right now?
Well, the one thing is you're certainly appreciative of the effort the guys put out there, and there's a great response by our defense. And, offensively, found a couple ways to contribute. Certainly got a lot of things cleaned up, but, boy, you're appreciative of what these guys did, and you got to enjoy those wins.
What's your first order of work for this offense?
Well, I think we got to clean up a lot of things always, and every film, it's never as good or never as bad as you think. And last week wasn't perfect by any means, and this week we'll look and see some things that some guys did well, but certainly we got to do a much better job on third down. They were good defense, and you give them credit. And, I think they're in the low 20s coming into it, but we didn't help ourselves. But we'll enjoy it today and then get back at it tomorrow.
Your quarterback took some hits out there. What did you think of his day?
I thought that he did. He was under duress, and certainly we got to do a better job protecting it. And got hit there, and we didn't have him for the second or the last part of the fourth quarter. But I love the way that he plays. And just even when things aren't going well, he keeps kind of that even keel. And we're gonna need all these guys, and it was a good win for us.
So is Tom Savage okay, or does he need to be checked out?
We obviously didn't play him, so he'll be checked out, But I don't know. He'd have to ask him how he's feeling.
We'll leave that to you, Coach. Congrats on the win.
All right, thanks.
Wes.
All right,
back
Jim.
up to you.
Thanks very much. His note about Virginia defensively, they came in 33rd in the country, Brian, in total defense. The Cavaliers delivered on that side of the ball. Those turnovers, though, in the first half come back to haunt them here today.
Certainly do, but I think Paul Chris hit the nail on the head when he said it's never as bad as you think it is sometimes when you watch the tape. And I think people are forgetting just how good this Virginia defense played. Pitt has a good offensive football team. I think they're going to have success going down the line. I think this defense for Virginia played a very good ball game today.
Going to be interesting for the Panthers. They get a week off before they go to Blacksburg with 2 Coastal Division wins in a row. Pittsburgh a winner 14-3 today over Virginia here at Heinz Field. And interesting ball game because two very early Virginia turnovers, one on special teams, end up coming back to haunt Mike London's team in a ball game that was really defensive driven here today. Interesting, Brian, because we talked about turnovers and the way they dictate the tempo of ball games, and that proved true here today.
It certainly did. You know, in the first half, really the first quarter, we saw Virginia turn the football over, and those were the most costly mistakes of the game because of where they turned them over. They turned them over in the red zone for Pitt going in, gave them 2 easy scores. And in the second half, Pitt started just giving the ball away, and it really cost this offense, but they still came out with a win.
Cavalier defense was good. They got to Tom Savage 7 times here today.
They were very good. They made some really nice adjustments. In the first quarter, they really just tried to rush 4, sit back in zone coverage, and Tom Savage and his big weapons took advantage of that. But after that, second quarter on, they've started bringing the heat, and Savage had 0 time to get that ball downfield. And, you know, but that Virginia offense did so little once again.
Yep. Panthers get a week off and then in Blacksburg to take on Virginia Tech. Cavaliers home to Ball State next week. We're headed to Winston-Salem for the Pack and Deeks. For Brian and Jen, it's Wes Durham. So long.